There are a lot of stories to be told, so stay with us. And let's get more on the stories now. From the STP Pit Center, here's Rick Benjamin.
Thanks, Ken. We're certainly going to be watching all of those things. This is week 3 of the 1993 Winston Cup campaign. We started out on the huge super speedway at Daytona. Last week, a mile at Rockingham. Today, really the first sub-mile track, kind of an intermediate short track. 3/4 of a mile, the facility here at Richmond. And it's going to be very demanding on these 36 cars and drivers. Brakes and handling, very, very important here. We heard several drivers say late yesterday afternoon their brakes would perhaps be the key factor in how well they can make their cars work in the middle of the corners here. This is a D-shaped racetrack. We'll tell you more about that later on. Lots of drivers, we want to get their thoughts before we go green here this afternoon. To cover the action for us on pit road once again this season, TBS Sports' Randy Pemberton. Randy?
Well, welcome to the front row of the Pontiac Excitement 400. This is where Kenny Schrader sits. What's significant about this pole position for Kenny Schrader? It's his first ever on a track less than a mile in length. Kenny, a great speed in qualifying. Any indication of how well you're going to do in this race?
Well, I hope so, you know, but times are awful tight, and after the cars run 30, 40 laps, they really get tight. So, Kodak cars run good. We'll just have to go out and have a good time today, see what happens.
No question about it, Kenny Schrader, one of the cars to beat. On the outside of row 1 is a man I like to call Mr. Personality, Rick Mast in the Skoal Classic Ford now. And Rick Mast has got a pole position. It was at Atlanta, the final race of last season. Rick, you got a lot of tough competitors back there. What about it today? Can you cop your first Winston Cup win here?
Well, I tell you, we figured out how to run fast for one lap of this Ford. If we can just figure out for 400 or 500 miles now, I'll be in good shape. We tried a little something in the Busch car yesterday. Obviously, it didn't work. So this morning, we changed like 3 springs, I think, on this car. I think we went the right way. We'll find out about 50 laps in the race.
Okay, we'll be watching you. Dr. Dick Bergeron, editor of Stock Car Racing Magazine, will be working alongside with me on pit road today, and he's standing by with Mark Martin.
And last year, Mark Martin's season got off to a terrible start. But what a difference a year can make. At Daytona, he had a terrific run. Last weekend at Rockingham, he was 5th, and he's won 2 in a row in Busch Grand National, including here yesterday. Mark, what's been the difference?
Well, mostly racing luck. But the race cars that this Valvoline team's given me right now are the best cars I've ever driven. We just hoped over the winter we wouldn't forget how to race. We had great cars at the end of the year last year, and we're ready to go win some races, and the season was over. So that now it started, and things are still going good, so we're looking forward to going racing.
Well, even though he's starting all the way back in the 13th spot, most everybody here at Richmond is talking about Rusty Wallace. He won last weekend at Rockingham. He's brought the same car to Richmond that he won with last fall. And the drivers, Rusty, say, you're the guy to beat. How hard can you run and still have this thing in one piece at the end?
Well, I qualified 11th. I'd like to be a little bit farther, 13th. I'd like to be a little farther up. So at the start of this race, I'm just going to run as hard as I could to try to knock off as many of these cats as I possibly can and get up front. But once I get going, I'm going to conserve the brakes and just try to conserve the tires and just log laps, because I think we're going to run caution-free for a long time today.
Well, it's been a very strange season indeed. And if anybody could explain the bizarreness of this year, it'd be a guy who won a lot of Winston Cup races and who then went on to become one of the most popular TV personalities auto racing has ever seen. A real expert, Neil Bonnet.
Dick, you got to be kidding when you say expert, because I don't have any earthly idea what's going on. I can't get a feel for this season. The thing that's so confusing, the guys that ran good last year, they're stumping their toe. They're in the back struggling. The guys that couldn't get out of the blocks, they're up there leading the race and winning now. I go through the garage, I ask the crew chiefs what's going on. They said, man, we don't know. We're doing this way, we're doing it that way. We're off the pace. The other guys said, we're not doing things different. We're up front. I tell you what, I might supposed to be an expert. But let me tell you, if you'll stay tuned to Richmond, we'll come back and turn these guys loose, and you can be the expert. You'll know more than I do. I can't figure it out. We'll be back to Richmond shortly.
In this part of the country, there are not many bigger sports stories than what happens with the Washington Redskins. 2 days ago, their head coach, Joe Gibbs, made a stunning announcement.
I just want to say that this has been one of the greatest things that could ever happen to somebody. I got to live a dream, and in the greatest city in the world, and coach the greatest football team, work in the best organization for the best owner, and what else could you want in life?
Joe Gibbs in Washington 2 days ago announcing his retirement. Now he's on pit road with our Randy Pemberton.
Joe Gibbs, first of all, great to see you here. You could have knocked us all over with a feather the other day when you announced your retirement.
Well, it was something that, you know, I really had only made the decision a few days before that, and it happened fast after that. And we weren't planning it the way it turned out. I didn't get a chance to say anything to a lot of my friends, the players, but it was just a situation that got thrown on us, and we had to adjust to it.
The possibilities of your health failing, are you okay?
No, I'm fine. Health fine. I said that to everybody. I don't know why that got out kind of the way it did. You know, I got run down towards the end of the season, and it caused me to think about a lot of other things. I was adding up a lot of things in my life at that point anyway, and family situation had changed quite a bit, and so it really, my health is fine. As a matter of fact, I've been checked everywhere you can be checked.
Joe, I know racing is in your future, and I'm sure football will be in your future for years to come, or in years to come. What about the possibility of you coming back as a football coach, maybe in the Carolinas?
Well, everybody kind of says something like that. Right now, I don't picture myself coming back coaching. If I do, though, and something works out and I miss this, after a couple of years I get to see my son play, then, you know, that might be a possibility. Right now, I don't see that.
Good luck in the future. Ken Squire.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup as the engines are fired, 36 strong for the Pontiac Excitement 400. On the pole, 12th career pole. New track record for Ken Schrader here. Alongside will be Rick Mast with his best start ever on a track under a mile. For row 2, it's Morgan Shepherd for the famed Wood Brothers of Virginia, and alongside is Brett Bodine. In row 3, it's a 6-time winner at Richmond, Darrell Waltrip, and shouldering him, Alan Kowicki. Made his Winston Cup debut here in '85. Going back to row 4, there's Kyle Petty, won it in '86. And alongside is Jeff Gordon, the sensational freshman, 5th at Daytona. In row 5 today, Dale Jarrett, who set it all in the Daytona 500. And Ernie Irvin, looking for his first Richmond win. Row 6 today is Dale Earnhardt, 5 times a winner in Richmond. And Mark Martin, winner of this race back in 1990. For row 7, it's Rusty Wallace, winner just a week ago at Rockingham, and Davey Alice, who won this event back in 1988. Davey Alice. Row 8 is Ricky Rudd, the '84 Pontiac 400 winner, and Ted Musgrave, impressive driver this year out of Wisconsin. Derek Cope is back. Cale Yarborough, new sponsor on his car, and alongside is Rick Wilson for Richard Petty. Going to row 10, you got the Labontes there, Terry Labonte and brother Bobby Labonte make up row 10. Row 11 today, Jeff Bodine in the Bud Moore car. It's been strong this year. Wally Dallenbach Jr., the youngster from Colorado, carrying one of our onboard cameras. Going to row 12, Sterling Marlin and Jimmy Spencer ready to settle down to battle. Row 13 today, Bill Elliott, defending champion, way back in 25th position, and Michael Waltrip. In row 14, it's Dick Trickle, Raymock entry, and Phil Parsons, who's having a very good year. Row 15 is Dave Marcus, twice a winner here, and Bobby Hillen in the Junie Donlevy car, another onboard camera. In row 16, Lake Speed making his 15th Richmond start, and Kenny Wallace, the freshman from Missouri. Row 17 is Hutch Strickland and Harry Gant, a former winner on this track. The provisional starters, Bobby Hamilton, and from Ridgeway, Virginia, Jimmy Hensley in the Jimmy Means car rounds out the field.
Ken, there's a couple of more stories we need to get to also. One of them are the tires. For more on that, let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, tires are a big story here, Neil, and the reason is Goodyear has brought a brand new tire to Richmond, and it's a brand new design. It isn't just the compound, it's the way they put this thing together. 2 important characteristics about this new tire. Number 1, it's fast. It's real fast. 3 cars broke the track record in qualifying. Number 2, this tire is supposed to have much more forgiveness. You'll recall when the radials first came out, if a guy got a little sideways, that was it. He was gone. These tires, say Goodyear, the driver should be able to get out sideways and get the car back again. Importantly, these tires have never been run in a Winston Cup race. And although there's been extensive testing, we don't know what's going to happen until the race gets underway.
Field is away. Preliminary laps. Pit road speed today, 40 miles per hour. 400 laps, 300 miles for $742,000. first of the preliminary laps. On the front, Ken Schrader, first time he's been the pole for a track under a mile. 12th pole position in his career, the first since 1987 for the Missouri driver. Bill Elliott won from the pole here a year ago. There's that backstretch, about 960 feet long. Remember, every corner on this track gives you a different challenge. As you come down this main straightaway, it's D-shaped, got some banking to it. You can run 2 and 3 wide in this area of the track that you're seeing right now in Wally Dallenbach's car. And you go into turn number 1 and you drop down with Bobby Hillen's car for the moment. He's expected to run very well today. Drop down into that first corner. When you come off turn 2, it's single lane. And then in that back straightaway, that's where you have to hitch them up. Make sure those tires just absolutely match the racetrack. Get no wheel spin as you come off turn 2 and down the 860-foot backstretch. As you get into turn number 3, that's hard braking on this racetrack. There you see the back straightaway. And as you get there into turn number 3, heavy braking in that area. At backstretch, as you see, banked only 2 degrees. It's flat. And you're back up again on the corners. And in this 14-degree bank, you can get a bite on the outside, and we anticipate weather is now up to about 60 degrees in temperature.
Ken, I'm still up here on the roof. Folks, let me tell you, it's still cool out here. These new tires, we don't overdo it with them, but they've got to get some heat in these tires before this race starts. So the first couple of 3 laps here, these guys are going to have to be extremely careful or these cars won't get out from under them. They're going to have to watch what happens so they get that confidence that they've got the tires warmed up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show you later on, probably right after the first pit stop, how these cars make their adjustments, and it has to do with tires. What they're going to do is they're going to take a tire temperature right here, and right here. When this tire comes off, this is the right rear of Mark Martin's car. When this comes off after the first pit stop, they'll also check the depth of the tire, and what they do is they'll figure out a degree of push or looseness in the automobile by virtue of how much tread they have left on this tire and how hot the temperatures are reading. So we'll take a look at that after the first pit stop.
Well, every team has spotters, but Roger Penske, a spotter for Rusty Wallace today. That's a very special deal. Rusty says, when Roger is doing the spotting for me, it's like having another guy in the car here. Roger apparently sees things nobody else sees, and when Rusty won last week at Rockingham, he gave Roger a lot of the credit. He can't do this at every race, but he's here today. That's an edge for Rusty Wallace.
The race record is 105 miles per hour, 105.3. Dale Earnhardt did it back in '91, trying to get some heat into those tires. Here's a story from Dick Bergen about these tires which could revolutionize short track racing. But the question is there enough to go around before the day is over? Now, as you look at the weather here, the temperature at 50, but it's going to break 60, they say, before the afternoon is over. It's warming now in that 50-degree bracket. The winds keep picking up. We've had gusts up to 25 miles per hour out of the west. It fluctuates between Zippo and about 25. Here's the field motoring through. Again, it's 36 strong this afternoon that are ready to take the challenge in this 3rd race of the Winston Cup season. You're riding with Dallenbach, who's off to a terrific start, and we're just about ready for a sensational start. Hope you enjoy the Pontiac Excitement 400 from Richmond International Raceway. Green is down. Kenny Schrader jumps it right out in front. Ken Schrader trying to improve on an 8th place finish, his best thus far to date on this racetrack. Dropping to the inside and moving up. Here comes Morgan Shepherd into 2nd position. Morgan's on a roll. I think we can expect that these guys are going to take it real easy till we get this thing worked in.
I think it's going to take a couple of laps, or maybe 5 or 10, for these guys to really get the feel of what they have under them for a few laps. We see right now Morgan Shepherd putting a lot of heat on Schrader, but I think it's going to be a little area here where they get the confidence up in their race car because they're on new equipment right now.
There you see the 24, Jeff Gordon, up on the outside of Kyle Petty, back with the leader. Well, you see Schrader holding off Shepherd, and Mast has fallen back to 5th spot. There's the 42 of Kyle running in 8th. And right there with him, Jeff Gordon.
Again, a good indication of this racetrack. We see even this early in the race, the ability for car to run a little bit wider and not necessarily be right on the bottom and still run fast. Good racetrack for this type of racing. A lot of room.
Lake Speed in trouble and coming in car number 83 early. Lake Speed on pit road. Back with the leaders, and it's a struggle. Schrader in 1st, Shepard in 2nd, Alan Kowicki in 3rd. Brett Bodine now is in 5th. In 6th is Waltrip. 7th is Kyle Petty. 8th is Gordon, and running in 9th is the number 4 car. Ernie Irvin back there in 9th. Mark Martin rounds out the top 10.
I'll tell you, Morgan in the Wood Brothers car really all over the back bumper of Schrader. He's right on top of him. Matter of fact, looks like maybe Schrader's holding him a little bit, because here comes Alan Kowicki up behind the 21 car. So looks like Morgan might have something for the 25.
And Brett Bodine down on the inside in the 26 moves into 4th spot. Rick Mast, who was the qualifier on the outside of the front row, slipping back another spot.
Again, we heard him say at the top of the show they changed 3 springs and hope they hit on something. So when you make that major adjustment, you might have to do a little bit of work during the course of the day to get it a little bit more fine-tuned.
Well, Rick Mast, who started on the outside pole, has dropped all the way back to 5th spot right now. I just talked to his crew chief, Richard Jackson. He said, our problem was we got caught on the outside. Well, I guess that's what happens when you start on the outside pole. Outside's not the fast way around. He says, now they're down low, they're going to be okay. We'll see. Brett Bodine just got by us.
Battle up in front, still Schrader on the point. $38,000 bonus today from Unocal if Schrader can win this race. Down to the inside. Morgan Shepard storming through turn number 3. Look at this fight for 1st. Here comes Kowicki.
Morgan has got a good line getting in the corner right here. They've got Schrader outside. Not only will the 21 go by, the 7 will probably make the pass also, because that inside line. Schrader's hung out there on the outside. The 7's going to work there. Then we're going to see the 26. Once you get out there, everybody takes advantage of you being on the outside, and they just keep closing the door, keeping you out there.
Taking that high line, Schrader down into turn number 1. Morgan Shepard works away. Kowicki in 2nd. Brett Bodine. See Rick Mast trying to step among the leaders, and here comes Kyle Petty. Kyle, as he has been on every track this year, looking quick. There goes 17 up on the outside in the back of that flock. Darrell Waltrip trying to move through, and Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon stays right with him in 8th spot.
Look at Waltrip. He took a look 3 wide going down in the corner all week long. Darrell said he's got a real good race car. He thinks he's got a chance to win the race here.
Watching Schrader in the 25 in 4th, and the battle back to 9th position. Meanwhile, the overall look of the field. You see Lake Speed, lap down, coming by, followed by Shepard, Kowicki, Bodine, and Schrader. And now Rick Mast on the outside gets around Schrader and goes back into 4th spot. This at lap 11. Rick Mast, Virginia drivers looking very strong out here, and the Virginia team for the moment, Wood Brothers in the lead.
There's Kyle Petty on the outside of Kenny Schrader. Even though Schrader is on the inside, Kyle is able to make the pass around the outside. There's Ernie Irvin on Dale Jarrett side by side. Jarrett in the 18, Irvin in the orange number 4.
And moving up comes Rusty Wallace in the 2, and right behind him is Earnhardt. They're back in 13th and 14th position. In 12th is Davey Allison, the 28. But inside, here comes Rusty Wallace storming. He tries to get himself a spot right now. Remember, he qualified 13th. Dropped back a little on the start, and here he comes again, and Earnhardt coming with him on the number 3 car.
All week long, Ken, the 2 car, the black number 2 of Rusty Wallace has been the fastest car in every practice session since qualifying. So I think everybody really feels that the 2 car is going to be the man.
Back in front as we work the 15th lap. We saw Shepard and Kowicki going at it. But here's the story for the moment. Davey Allison gets taken down by Rusty Wallace. You heard Rusty say at the top of the show, take those cats down, and he just took down a strong one, but Allison is not content. He's trying to come back. Meanwhile, number 4, Ernie Irvin, stays just in front of Wallace. He scoots down to the inside. The number 2 car. Battle for the lead another time. Here's Kowicki in number 7 on the bottom. On the outside, Morgan Shepard in the 21. Out of turn 2 and in the back straightaway.
Morgan made a good run on the outside off of turn 2, which is the toughest part of the racetrack. Wood Brothers cars really running today.
Lake Speed pitting another time as the leaders come by. Shepard won the pole here as a rookie back in 1981, and he led the first 150 laps. Poor Lake Speed having trouble early in the going. So Morgan Shepard settles it down. Looks like he's off to a good start this afternoon, and they were so frustrated a week ago that Eddie Wood called the shot, and he literally parked the car. He used Rockingham as a training period, as a test race. He was so angry. You don't see him angry very often, but he was frustrated at Rockingham. So they brought the car in, they changed springs, they changed sway bars. They come back out here today, and they look like a rocket in the early going on this 3/4 mile track. Morgan Shepard and the Wood Brothers in front with car number 7, Kowicki, right there defending. Winston Cup champion looks to the inside and stays 1 car length back.
Ken, a big key right there. Waltrip just went around the 26 and the 42 car. Not only did he say he had a good race car, he's showing that. He just passed both of these guys in his last lap.
Darrell Waltrip says a driver's attitude is still key, but today's equal competition means there are many, many drivers who have that winning attitude.
There's an attitude that you develop as you run a race, that if you are leading the race all day long, people come up to challenge you, and they really can't do anything with you. You develop this attitude as though nobody can beat you. Certainly that's the kind of attitude you want at the end of the race. But when somebody all of a sudden, like Daytona, popped out of nowhere and hadn't led the race much all day, been in a hunt maybe, but really hadn't shown the ability to lead, all of a sudden they're in your mirror, you almost say, well, I'm glad he's behind me. Don't have to worry about him. And that guy jumps out and beats you. So I think what we're seeing more and more and more of is there is no car in the garage area. When it comes down to the last 10 laps of the race, if they're all out there together, everybody's got the equal opportunity to win one of these races. Nobody right now has that great big advantage to just pull them out of the hat every week.
Can I tell you one advantage Waltrip has right now is he's working that outside lane better than anybody has here in a long time. What's the other 2 cars? Dive the inside, the 7 car down, but look at Waltrip drive on the outside, and he's not losing ground out there.
Waltrip in 3rd spot. Will this be the day for his 85th win? Stay with us from Richmond International Raceway. It's the Pontiac 400.
Test, nothing but rain. Hey, where's Mario?
2 champions sharing a winning formula. Haviland Formula 3.
I hear your power is looking good for you this year.
It's unbelievable.
Must run pretty hot in a tight draft, though.
Got that pretty well beat.
Complete professionals who rely on the same complete protection you can buy right off the shelf.
Yeah, I'm wide open all the time.
Hey, only way to do it.
Haviland Formula 3 motor oil from Texaco.
Quit raining, please.
Everyone knows that turn 2 at Richmond is a 1-lane affair. You just follow nose to tail through there. That's everyone but that number 17. Old DW runs the outside all the way around this place, and he's pulled himself into the lead. Right here, he ducked down to the inside through a dummy as if he's going to stay out on the outside. Morgan Shepard moved over, wide open, and the 17 was home for the lead for the moment. It's Waltrip now in front. Kyle Petty finds himself in 2nd. Morgan Shepard's back to 3rd. Alan Kowicki's in 4th. Brett Bodine in 5th. And Jeff Gordon maintains 6th. This as we come to the 30th lap. Look at this struggle for the lead. Kyle Petty down on the inside, takes a look underneath. Car number 17, Waltrip. And the Chevy and the Pontiac get down to turn 3. Get ready to mix it up, Neil.
We see Waltrip, he was successful in the outside lane and running some of the guys down, passing some of the cars. He's starting to use that lane now, and that's leaving Kyle Petty to inside to work with. The question is, can Kyle use that bottom part and get around Waltrip? He's extremely fast on the outside for the 17 car.
Brett Bodine's having a great run this afternoon in the Kenny Bernstein car. He stays a stout 5th, but here's where the story is. Right up on the nose. Checking further back in the field for you. Rick Mast has fallen to 7th. Rusty Wallace is now up to 8th. Davey Allison is in 9th. Dale Jarrett's in 10th. Ken Schrader's 11th. Mark Martin has fallen to 12th. Remember that he had a pretty good run, qualified 10th on the event. Slips back a bit now. And he could be waiting this one out for a while. There's your battle. Waltrip and Petty for first place.
Ken, when a driver like Kyle Petty in the 42 car sees that open lane available, he says, man, I'll sail right on by this guy. And usually that happens, but Kyle is not able to gain a lot in that bottom. Waltrip's car is working so good on the top, he gives him that preferred lane in the bottom, and Kyle still can't handle him. So Waltrip is really being impressive with the move he's making on the outside.
Taking a look at the telemetry now. Wally Gollenbach's car. Wally Gollenbach out of Colorado, showing you how many RPMs they crank up and how much they turn into miles per hour, up over 130 in these straightaways, then back down to 90. And a lot of brake to roll them around this place.
They use a lot of brake. Wally's car is off the pace a little bit. Right here, top RPM. Let's see what, we see and not seeing the big numbers. Let's see what the thing turns down the straightaway right here. We're up 6,500, 7,000, 75, 78, 81, 8,200 RPM. If he was getting through the corner like he wants to, some of these guys are turning the motors 86 and 8,700 RPM. We could see some engine failures today. These tires are a little smaller, and they're twisting these motors real hard. The guys leading the race are really abusing the motors.
Back in the 28th position. Meanwhile, the leaders, 17 Waltrip, 42 Petty. Great war up in front. Take a look at this battle. Number 2 and 1. That's Rick Mast on the inside. Well, he was on the inside. He slips up a bit, and here is Rusty Wallace right beneath him. Wallace going down low and trying to move into 8th. Into 7th, rather. Gets it. Mast is back to 8th. Davey Allison in 9th. And you see Dale Jarrett beginning to put the Joe Gibbs car into contention. Just in front of them, side by side, the 24 car and the 26. The 24, Jeff Gordon down on the inside, and the 26, Bodine. There's the number 2, Rusty Wallace back there in 7th. Davey Allison, Rick Mast. You string him out in the back straightaway.
Ken, Waltrip's car is running so good. Let's go down to the pits with Randy and see if we can find out what's happening with that team.
Well, Barry Dodson has been keeping times on his driver, Darrell Waltrip. Barry, I know this has got to feel good for your first year with this team.
It does. You know, it's been a long time coming here. We knew when we got here we had a good race car. We both need a little bit of good luck right now. Maybe today will be the day, but it's like old times, just with a different driver, a great guy.
As we watch Darrell Waltrip lead this show, gentlemen, we should point out he hasn't been feeling that well so far this year. He thinks he may have had a cracked rib at Daytona and Rockingham. He told us yesterday, though, that he's feeling a lot better, very racy for today's event. That's what he's showing so far.
Well, we thought that Bobby Hillen was off to a great start, but now he's backed up and he's about to get lapped with 40 of 400 complete. Take a look at Jeff Gordon in the 24 running in 5th spot, and all of a sudden the 26 is backed up, and I think he's showing some smoke. Indeed he is. The 26, which was running so well and had been battling with Jeff Gordon up in 5th spot, is off his speed.
Ken, the tailpipes for both banks of the engine, the left and right tailpipe, come out the left side of a car on this side of the racetrack, so it's hard to tell which one, but he's definitely got a problem with one of the cylinders in the motor. It's either running hot or he's got a cylinder going way up.
What a bad break after a very good start in the early going for Brett Bodine. There's his brother, tucked right in there with him for a moment in the 15 car, and now scoots below. Jeff had the best Ford finish down at Daytona. Here comes Earnhardt with him.
When they start smoking like that, they don't get any better, and we've got such a long distance to run. It surprised me if that car can continue to run.
10th, 11th, and 12th. Let's go down to Brett Bodine's pits.
Well, Brett Bodine is going to be coming in almost certainly. They're ready for him. They say, however, they do not know what's wrong with it. I just talked to Clyde Booth, and he sort of shrugged his shoulders. He said, we don't know. It's not right. They're ready for him, but he's not here yet.
43 laps complete as Waltrip dominates the early going with Kyle Petty second and Alan Kowicki back to third as Morgan Shepherd gets shuffled back to fourth. Jeff Gordon, the rookie, stays in fifth, and Davey Allison is in sixth.
Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway. Good to have you with us on TBS Sports this afternoon. One of the many statistical stories we're keeping track of here today, the True Value Hard Charger competition. At all the Winston Cup stops, the top 5 drivers receive points each lap. At the end of the race, the driver with the most points wins the Hard Charger Award. We'll keep you updated on the standings as we go along. So far this year, Dale Earnhardt is leading the True Value Hard Charger competition.
Talk about hard charges. Look at Waltrip. Rounding some of the lap traffic. About to try Bobby Labonte on the inside down here in turn 1. This at lap number 50. First 50 laps, nary a caution. Trying to put a lap on Wally Dallenbach. Back straightaway in the Keystone car.
This is when you can tell a guy's car is really working. Waltrip, we've seen him run outside, but when the occasion calls for it, he's able to jump right in that bottom and go right by these cars. His car is working anywhere on this racetrack.
Laps the 28th place car. And here comes Kyle Petty right with him in second. Remember that as Kyle Petty in second and Kowicki in third. Morgan Shepherd in fourth. Davey Allison having a great day. He's up the 5th spot on that number 28 that you see right there in the back stretch. Behind him is Rusty Wallace, who's come to 6th. And Jeff Gordon, the 21-year-old, is up into 7th. In 8th is Dale Jarrett. You can see that green car a little further back. In 9th is Marlin, and 10th, up breaking the top 10 for the first time today. Here comes Earnhardt. Derek Cope giving us these pictures down the backstretch. Cope with a brand new sponsor on the car.
Again, here we go. We're going down the back straightaway right now. Watch this going in this corner. You got a lot of room getting here. We're up under the 14 car. Watch how wide the track is coming off here, coming down the front straightaway. Big wide arc right here. We're able to get 2 and 3 wide going down this corner. Use that to funnel down into 1, getting in the corner there. We saw the 98 car wiggling, getting in the corner. Real tough place. This is the toughest place track, right up off 2. Wall just jumps out at you. Got a car on the outside of it. Be really careful.
Trop Arctic in-car camera giving you those pictures. We see Terry Labonte in that Kellogg car on the outside. Phil Yarborough, that new Bojangles sponsorship. 33rd to 11th. Good run out there. Bodine wheeling right up through. Here's Dick Burton.
Well, Brett Bodine is behind the wall. Your team manager said the problem is oil is staying up in the cylinder, not going down. To fix it, can you fix a problem like that?
Yeah, good or not good. Motor's lost power. We started falling back there. It started losing power. I don't know what's causing it. They might have an idea, but it definitely lost its zip, and we started falling back in the pack. You know, I just hate it. We had a good qualifying run and was going to work toward.
Back in front, here is Darrell Walter putting a lap on his brother Michael. He just lapped Dick Trickle as well. That puts him up to the 26th position on the overlap. He's just overlapped the 26th place car, and the guy that could get caught very shortly here would be Bill Elliott. He's running 21st and is just 3 1/10 back from having 17 and 42 breathed down his backside out here. Here you see Kyle Petty making a run on the lead. Kyle to the inside.
We lost Dick Bergman's mic. We'll be back with that in a minute. But, boy, we got a race right here. The 42 car on the inside of 17. We've seen a couple of guys attempt that move on Walter. He gives them that inside, but so far they haven't been able to take the lead away from him. There we see the 42 squirt up inside of him, make that big lunge off the corner. The question is, can he hold it and clear him as he comes off turn 2? Walter has been really good. This is the tightest part of the track, up off 2. He's going to clear him totally. Kyle's up there. Looks like he's got enough room to pull over.
The Felix Aventis car moves into first place. Kyle Petty leading in the Pontiac 400. That taking place at lap 59. Walter settles back to second. Kowicki third. Davey Allison fourth. Rusty Wallace is in fifth. Kyle Petty's car owner is famous for offering his team extra incentives to win. Big cash bonuses. Kyle says so far the extra cash has been a jinx.
I need to. I tell you what, every time they come around, I miss them. And Felix like that, because he likes to keep his money. He does something else with it. But, you know, I'll get me one eventually.
He had $1 million bonus down at Daytona. You could feel the frustration when he got caught up in that incident with Al Unser Jr. and Bobby Hillin.
Ken, you know, when they put those bonuses up, certainly the drivers want to do it and want to win that incentive. But let me tell you what, somebody like Kyle Petty doesn't need a little cash dangling in front of him. He wants to win because this is his career now. He's concentrating so hard in Winston Cup racing. His main concern is to win on this circuit, and I don't think the money is really a factor. I think he just wants to be successful and win a lot of races.
22nd place, Terry Labonte about to go a lap down to Kyle Petty. Continues up in front. There goes the train.
Here comes Walker right back in the picture again. This car seemed to work better, a little bit wider, and they had to pinch it down there. And, you know, Kyle squirted up off the corner and got away from him a little bit. You got to be careful working this traffic here because you put a lot of trust in that guy when you come off those corners. There's not much room off of turn 2, and you're not careful, you'll pinch somebody up there and just block the entire back straightaway. Big wreck when that happens. So you really have to be careful up off this corner right here.
Taking a look at those Napa standings after 61 of 400 laps down through the field. An idea of how they're running out here. Kyle Petty just mowing him down. He's got a lawnmower out here in the early spring at the present time with Waltrip right there in the second spot. Davey Allison. Davey's been a big surprise as he's been hauling up to third. Having a great day as Waltrip is. Here's Waltrip ready to counter again.
Ken, that's the sister car to Kyle Petty. The 40 car there is Kenny Wallace, which is also owned by Felix Sabates. He's not wanting to go that lap down. He's putting up some resistance there, but he did get put down. Kyle went on by him, so both those cars belong to Felix, but he just put his other teammate down. Here comes Walker making a run on the outside. There's Walker in his favorite place. He saw him racing him. He dove outside, then he cut back on the inside. Good move by Walker. He tried outside. Next corner, he sticks it up under him off the corner.
Same maneuver he made to get beneath Morgan Shepherd a little earlier and take the lead for the first time. See Kenny Wallace in the Dirt Devil car just a bit further back now. Here's the struggle up in front. Looks to me like they've got a handful out there. Those tires have gone away.
Well, they're working them awful hard right now. When you're making this many passes and they just switch the lead back and forth in the last couple laps and with some heat in the tires, and they take a few laps for them to come back. But looks like Walter's car is doing any good. He's right back. Caution's out.
Caution out of the racetrack. Caution is out. First time today. This comes at lap 68, and it may be for Rick Mast in car number 1. Remember, he said outside of the front row. Well, something is amiss for the man who qualified second.
A lot of smoke coming out of the rear of the car, Ken. It's hard to tell what is. There's a lot of smoke. It could be motor. He might have tagged the wall on the other side of the car.
He's inherited Alan Kowicki's engine builder from a year ago, and it has seemed to make a difference. But for the moment, there's big trouble on Rick Mast car number 1. And here come the leaders headed for pit road. Remember, it's 40 miles per hour today. Waltrip, Petty pulling in. Davey Allison, Kowicki, Rusty Wallace, Jarrett all come by. Number 40 stays out, trying to get himself back that lap that he was just set down. Under caution for the first time in the afternoon. 69 laps are complete. There's that Wallace crew quickly at work, and they've been making some remarkable pit stops this season. Here's Randy.
Well, Rusty Wallace's crew already over on the left side of the automobile. Davey Allison's crew running just a little bit late. The tires are up and on. The second can of gas is in Rusty's car. He keeps the engines revved. He's down and away. An unbelievable pit stop.
I tell you what, Ken, that is unbelievable. Last week, that was a big factor in him winning the race. First one out, he was about the 4th car in this time, and he's still the first guy to hit the ground moving. Kyle Petty did beat him out, but Kyle was in a lot quicker. But that 2 car is quick in the pits.
17-2, 17-4s. That's the order of the day for that Rusty Wallace pit crew. Stay tuned for more from Richmond, live on TBS.
Wouldn't it be great if your neighbor was Wally Dallenbach, the Keystone Beer Winston Cup driver?
Wally, great car. Want to take it for a spin, Dave?
A spin?
And keep her under 170, Dave.
170?
See Wally Dallenbach, or possibly his neighbor Dave, race the Keystone Beer stock car in the Winston Cup Series.
Well, how'd you drive, Dave?
Well, she drifts a little in 3. No problem. But we need to bleed the brakes.
Wouldn't that be great?
You're looking live at the STP Pontiac, rather the Pontiac pace car. Elmo Langley is behind the wheel, leading the field around under caution here. And Richmond International Raceway on a gorgeous sunny Sunday afternoon. We've run more than 70 laps today. 400 laps will be the distance this afternoon here at Richmond International Raceway. Let's take a look at our STP running order after 70 laps. Kyle Petty holding the advantage over Rusty Wallace, who remember won here on TBS last September. Alan Kulwicki, who's had a good run today, and Darrell Waltrip, who's led so far much of this event early on. Second five includes Dale Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin, Jeff Bodine, Dale Jarrett, and Morgan Shepherd. Those are your top 10, Ken Squire.
72 laps are officially complete on the docket. From the pace car, a look back at that field as they get ready to go once again. Let's take a look and replay at what happened to bring out our first caution of the day.
Here's Rick Mast's car. We talked earlier about this being see the fire on the left side of the car? That's a brake fire. He's got a lot of heat right there. He might be pumping some oil out on the rotors or something, but the thing caught on fire right there on the brake rotors. We talked about this being a speedway plus a short track, a lot of brakes involved. Let's go down to Dick Bergeron.
Well, the engine's blown up. Here you are behind pit wall. How hard were you turning this thing today?
Well, I tell you, we're turning pretty good, but I don't think it's any more than anybody else much. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know. It's just something let go. I'm not sure what it is. We'll try to get them next week.
And he told me earlier he didn't know what the fire was from, but is almost sure it was from the brakes.
Bad break for Rick Mast. Outside of the front row. Yesterday, he had a very good starting slot on that Grand National race as well. Didn't work out. Sooner or later, he's got to hit one. Fine driver. 73 complete. They come down to retake green with Petty first, Wallace second, Kulwicki third, Darrell Waltrip fourth, Allison fifth, Earnhardt sixth, Sterling Marlin seventh, Jeff Bodine eighth, Dale Jarrett ninth, and Morgan Shepherd in 10th on the break.
Back straight with Rusty Wallace's pit stop really put him in good shape. He's been one of the quickest cars in practice. Now he's got the opportunity to see if he can take the lead. Here he is right behind Kyle Petty. We'll see just how good that car is.
And a couple of Pontiacs, first and second, Ford back in third. I'll tell you who that caution saved. Bill Elliott was just about 12 car lengths away from going a lap down. That yellow flag was a redeemer for him. Keeps him up in that lead lap, able to struggle on here this afternoon.
Ken, while we've been watching Rusty Wallace soldier through the field from 13th up to second, a note of caution from his pit area. We understand his engine is running at about 240 degrees oil temperature, and that's a lot warmer than everyone else's. His crew a little puzzled at that, and that could be a sign of problems to come for Rusty Wallace. We'll see what happens.
Kyle Petty stays first. Take a look at Earnhardt back here, working on 28 Davey Allison.
When they were talking about that oil temperature, Rusty also will abuse the motors, turn a lot of RPM, and that creates heat. So they might have to watch that, see where they're at.
Back with the leaders, Petty and Wallace. Earnhardt in that number 3 car. He is looking stout again today. Remember, he has 2 second-place finishes.
Again, when they come to a place like this, we're looking at Rusty starts in these. Whenever they put that low gear in these cars, they tell the drivers, we'll let you have that low gear, but don't abuse it. And they say, okay, you let me have the gear, I'll take it easy. When that green flag drops, they start mashing the gas pedal. They forget about what gear's in it, and that's where we see a lot of these failures come from. The driver just really abusing the car. That's just the nature of the beast. That you give it to them, they're going to use it.
Here's Wallace closing in on Kyle Petty. Rusty, you're going to try to save this car for the end of the race, or is it going to be full throttle all the way?
I'm not saving nothing. I'm going to run every lap as hard as I can, get as many bonus points as I can for leading the lap and the most laps and win the race.
Looks like that's what he's after right now. Just 3 car lengths back from Kyle Petty. But look at Kulwicki hanging right in there with that Ford. He looks good today.
Yeah, Kulwicki's running right up behind Rusty. You know, Rusty's got a good game plan, but looks like Kyle Petty's going to have a little say-so on what happens there. Rusty's wanting to get up there and lead the race for the points, but Kyle's not giving it up very easily.
If there's a track that owes a driver one, I would think it's Kulwicki. Alan Kulwicki likes this track. Boy, he's had some problems here. Back in '89, came so close, wound up second. In '92, he nearly had it all his way. Found himself runner-up in that one to Elliott. Remember, right at the finish, that dramatic run, and Elliott took it home last year. Here he is, right back in the thick of things. Alan Kulwicki, car number 7.
We mentioned earlier that Alan Kulwicki's motor builder went over to the car of Rick Mast. We saw Mast, said outside pole. The question was, how much does it affect the 7 car? Kulwicki still got good people working in the motor program, but the big question was, how much did it affect him, that engine guy leaving? But he's still running up front. Ken, that's what happens. He wins the championship, and if you win a championship and run as well as Kowicki did last year, you showcase your personnel. And when you do that, these other teams start going after him. If you're off the pace, they want to hire anybody from you. But he got the running so good, they're starting to pick his team apart. He's got to be careful.
It's one of the problems of being successful. Now take a look at Jimmy Spencer in Bobby Allison's Meineke car, number 12. He is currently being shown 18th on the field. And here he is working with that Bobby Hillen car, the number 90 right there, and Bill Elliott, all in that group. Elliott working very hard to stay with him. And from the viewpoint of Bobby Hillen, we're watching Jimmy Spencer. They thought they had a good setup for today, and they were going to go to the front. That is not the case for Jimmy Spencer right now.
And I don't know what's so tough about this racetrack. It's a good racetrack. We see good side-by-side racing. But as I said earlier in the show, you go through the garage, and I talk to these crews, and they say, man, we just can't hit it. I say, how you feel like you're going to be today? Who knows? They throw their hands up in the air. It's a hit or miss situation. You're either look like a hero, you're running up front, or you're spinning the tires all day. It's hard to get the handle on this racetrack. The guys that do, they just drive away from it.
Well, you see Rick Wilson right there with him in the 44 car. They're showing him as a lap down. They are showing Wilson a lap down. They're showing Huck Strickland, one of Junior Johnson's car, a lap down. We'd like to say hello to Junior today. We understand he's on the mend over at Duke Hospital for some surgery. And hope you're doing well, and I wish you could enjoy this race, Junior, but I imagine that he's gnashing down hard on something right now, Neil, the way those cars are running, 11 and 27.
I saw Hutch Strickland get lapped pretty early in the race, and then we saw the 11 car falling back, but these teams, both of them are capable of dialing the cars in, get them working better before the day's over.
Here we are back in front following the 3 leaders. You're at lap number 87 at Richmond International Raceway, live on PBS. 3/4-mile track, $720,000 purse. Kyle Petty in the 42. Up on the nose, Rusty Wallace, winner last week at Rockingham in second, and survivor of that incredible crash at Daytona 3 weeks back. Then you see Alan Kowicki right there knocking on the door as they come into the main straightaway. 1 caution thus far, if you're just with us.
Ken, coming off turn 2, the 21 car got completely sideways, went sliding way back to the rear of the field. He lost a lot of ground.
And remember, he is running in 10th position, Morgan Shepherd, and Ricky Rudd running right there ready to challenge in 11th. Now, Rudd's another guy that could use a good day here. Won once at Richmond. Here's Ricky Rudd closing in another time in car number 5 from the Rick Hendrick Racing stable. That number 40 car is being shown as a lap down. Am I correct on that? That Kenny Wallace is back about 23rd, 24th?
He just got lapped. Kyle Petty lapped him just a while ago, just before they went to caution. He was put a lap down. Morgan Shepherd, we saw him almost spin just a while ago, trying to see if he can get the car back under him right there. He lost a lot of ground.
He had it sideways there for a moment, too, but he's so smooth. Look at Harry Gant trying to get back in this thing. Now take a look at number 41. What a story here. Up to 10th spot, Phil Parsons. What a run he's having. That Hedrick team is really coming around, and Waddell Wilson now joins this team, taking over with this number 41 car. They've had a great finish at Rockingham just a week ago. Their season seems to be really turning around. It's another good run for them. They were 8th on the final finish tally at Rockingham last week. Great show by Phil Parsons. Folks seem to approve. Down toward 100 laps. 93 are on the board. And at the moment, it's Kyle Petty's race to lose. He's up in front. Rusty Wallace trying to take it away.
Keystone Beer presents the NASCAR Profile.
Wally Dallenbach Jr. is no stranger to racing. This Colorado native has spent the last 9 years running on the SCCA, IMSA, and IROC circuits. And no matter what he drives, he usually can get into victory lane. In 1984, at just 20 years of age, young Dallenbach captured SCCA Trans Am Rookie of the Year honors. He followed that up with series titles in 1985 and 86. Since teaming with veteran car owner Jack Roush in 1984, Dallenbach has won 17 IMSA GTS races, including 3 consecutive 24 Hours of Daytona. And in 1992, still hungry for more success, Wally climbed into Winston Cup racing full-time. Sticking with Roush, Dallenbach made an impressive debut. He finished ahead of all the rookie drivers in the final season point standings. With a full year of Winston Cup racing under his belt, a solid team at Roush Racing, sound advice from teammate and veteran driver Mark Martin, Wally Dallenbach Jr. is racing for a championship in Winston Cup.
Riding with Wally Dallenbach in 27th position now, the Jack Roush team, trying to get this Richmond track in hand, but off the lead lap at the present time in car number 19. Here's the leader, Kyle Petty. His Pontiac stays first. Rusty Wallace maintaining second position and back about 2 seconds from the leader. It's 1 6/10 seconds between first and second place, with 104 laps now complete. Davey Allison finds himself in third for just a moment. Let's go down to the garage area for these updates.
Well, I'm with Robin Pemberton, who is Kyle Petty's crew chief. Robin, you guys are running so well. Are you running as hard as you can, or is there more?
He's running pretty hard right now. I guess he tries to put as much distance on him in the field as he can. There's a lot of racing to go. We're still a little gun-shy after what's happened the last couple of weeks, so hopefully we can pull this off.
Now, this number 42 car has been in the hunt in every race so far this year, but it's had problems. Now for more from the pits, here's Randy Pemberton, Robin's brother.
Well, Dick, recently we've heard Rusty Wallace come over the radio, and he said he had a little bit of a vibration in the left rear. Buddy, is everything okay with you guys?
Yeah, everything's fine. We just, car's got a little push in the middle of the corner, and I think that's making the tires chatter just a little bit. So we don't have any problems. The Miller Genuine Draft cars, Pontiac's running pretty good today, and we had a great pit stop there. I'd like to just say hi to Judy and the girls back there watching today.
One other note on that pit stop, Rusty was warned by NASCAR when he came out second to Kyle Petty there, but he went a little too fast down pit road. So just a 320, pit road speed 40 miles an hour today only.
Waltrip and Kowicki still going at it. Chevrolet and Ford. Waltrip into 17, now in fourth. Kowicki in fifth, and there you see Earnhardt in the number 3, closing down from that 6th spot. Earnhardt moseying back up into this race. Drivers were only about 4 seconds back from the leader. Kyle Petty, Wallace in second, working the 109th lap.
There we see Davey, excuse me, Ken, there's Davey Allison. We saw him coming. He got into 3rd place. He passed these guys here. We're looking at Earnhardt right there trying to get up under the 7 car. Kowicki.
Almost there.
Walter right up front. There's Davey Allison. He's moved around all 3 of these guys into 3rd place. Davey was running about 6 about 4 laps ago. He passed that whole pack of cars and making a big move. They've got to be pleased because, I mean, the entire season they've been struggling, and now he's picking the pace up. We see him right now reeling in Rusty Wallace for 2nd place. Rusty's running 2nd. Davey's passed this other pack, run him down.
Take a look at the struggle. Here's Earnhardt down to the inside on Kowicki. Fight for 5th. Earnhardt ambles down right on the bottom of the racetrack in 3 and 4, and he's sliced off another one. Earnhardt is now into 5th, and he goes looking for Waltrip in 4th.
Wicky's car really took off from that last restart. It looks like he's fading just a little bit right now, but he's still running the pace. He's not going to be in a problem. They've still got all day long to dial that thing in. His car seems to run better in long runs. This is a kind of a exceptional thing for him all off the pace. His car is usually one of the better cars on the long runs.
Still early. 112 laps have been complete in the Pontiac Excitement 400 here this afternoon. They've covered 84 miles, and thus far we've had just 1 caution to date. That for Rick Mast. You see Bobby Hillen's number 90. He's having a struggle out there today in that Dunleavy car. There's the interval as that 28 car closes in ever closer on Rusty Wallace. Let's go down to his pit.
Larry McReynolds you guys seem to be closing the gap a little bit. At least you're having some good luck today for a change.
Yeah, I mean, we really run good yesterday's practice. You know, it seems like we can get in clear traffic. We're maybe just a little bit better than Kyle. We had a little bit of a mix-up in the pits a while ago. They beat us out of the pits along with Rusty. Them guys on that 2 bunch pretty tough on pit road, but, you know, got a lot of racing to do. Hopefully the cars stay with us. Goodyear's tires seem to be consistent, so that's a plus. We'll just see what happens.
Putting a lap on Hill and the Heilig Myers, number 90, and closing in, Allison, ready to do battle with Rusty Wallace. That's for second spot. Kyle Petty maintaining the lead. Pontiac stays up in front, and there's Schrader in the 25. He's about to go a lap now. What is he, about 20th on the field right now?
Yeah, and that's your pole setter. You know, he started out on the pole, and here he is fixing to go a lap down, not very long into the race, so they're having a lot of trouble.
If you're marking at home, this would come at lap 116 that Kyle has pulled up on, and they're working 117. There's Schrader easing up to the outside a little.
Trying to see if we can tell what's wrong with Schrader's car, see if it's loose or pushy or what. Kyle's up under him right here. There's Kenny. You know, I guess Kenny's got the ability to feed the throttle, work with it. When he knows it's going to slip and spin, he's going as fast as he can without making the car bobble. So he's just not able to get that throttle as quick as he wants to.
You see the Pyrex car, Lake Speed, just behind them. He's running a lap down from number 83. He's gone a second lap down now. Here's Kyle Petty out in front, and look at this maneuver on the inside. Here comes Davey down low. It's Rusty Wallace up on the outside. 4 seconds.
Davey's won before on this track since it was reworked, since it went from a half mile to 3/4. Davey's ran really well at this racetrack, and evidently their little black book that you keep all the notes in is paying off for them. They seem to be right back on track.
Great run by Davey Allison. He scoots down to the bottom. Boy, is that car working today. That's impressive.
Yeah, they needed to. They've really had a lot of bad luck the first of the season. Haven't been able to run like they did last year. So this might be a shot in the arm for their team to get them back on track.
So, for the moment, Davey Allison has found himself second place. Rusty Wallace is back in third. Darrell Walton is in fourth. And in fifth, it's Earnhardt, who is still moving through the field. Stay tuned for more. We're at Richmond, Virginia. And here in the Pontiac Excitement 400, 130 of 140 laps are complete, and the interval between first and second is shrinking. Going into turn 3, there you see number 42. That is Kyle Petty. And Davey Allison's Ford is definitely closing him down. It's just 1 2/10 of a second, Neil Bonnet, between first and second.
And Kyle Petty is not slowing down. Davey Allison picking the pace up. To give you a good indication, Kyle Petty just lapped Bill Elliott, and they just lapped the Hut Strickland's car again. So both of these guys are really running. Davey just seems to be able to roll him in.
19th place Elliott was in when he went a lap down.
Ken, we've been showing some guys what they look like when they're driving them good. Let me show you what a handful of Hut Strickland's got here. Watch Kyle Petty. He's going to follow the 27 car up the back straightaway just a lap or so ago when he lapped him. And watch what happens when your car's not running. Watch the 27 car, the red car. Watch him up off of this corner. Back in, slipping all that, running, jumping around. Hut Strickland just cannot get on the throttle, and that's the reason he's going down. It's when these cars are driving good, they're a lot of fun. When they're like this right here, you've got a handful.
So the McDonald's car, Hut Strickland not having a good day at Richmond, while Kyle Petty is having a dandy. Allison's doing pretty well. So is Waltrip in third, Rusty Wallace fourth, Earnhardt fifth, Kowicki back to sixth, Sterling Marlin. Rebesta's car is in seventh. Going eighth is Jeff Bodine. Ninth is Dale Jarrett. And 10th, remaining in 10th, is Phil Parsons.
Having a good run here. Parsons' car, he's really worked on his car. He's running a lot better. Just getting some speed, a little bit more speed. They've got some consistency now.
Bobby Hillen's car, which is off the pace, but trying. The Heilig Myers Ford, which had qualified back in 30th, and having trouble finding anything on this track today. They just haven't got the right setup.
No, and Dunleavy's car, you know, he runs good at this racetrack. I felt like he would be on top of it. I'd like to see him run a little bit better, but they're just off the pace a little bit.
Again to the lead. Kyle Petty's 42 up in front and closing, ever closer. So that number 42 moves number 28, Davey Allison, from that second spot. Waltrip stays right there in third, about 10, 12 car lengths back. Pretty fair interval on those leaders with 136 laps complete. Schrader had a shot at a bonus of $38,000 today. Already he has been lapped. Again, that handle just, you miss by a quarter of an inch and you miss by a lap.
Man, I tell you what, a key to sitting on the pole here at this racetrack is to be able to have a car that's loose enough that it will go real, real fast. But in the race, sometimes it bites you. If you're loose, you can't go when you need to go, and it's hurting during the race. There we are inside the car with the telemetry. We're in the Keystone car right here.
Riding with Wally Dallenbach.
See Kyle Petty up there. He's the leader. There's Ricky Rudd along with Mark Martin. Rudd trying to catch up with Martin right here. He's closed in on him a little bit in the last couple of laps. Mark usually runs exceptionally well at this racetrack, and they got a little bit of work to do today to get the thing where he can get back up front with it.
11th and 12th position right here. Mark Martin taking over from Ricky Rudd. Ford and Chevy. Mark Martin thought he would have a day right up in front before this was over, but thus far, he's just outside that top 10, as is Ricky Rudd.
Yesterday, Mark Martin just drove away from the field in the Busch race and really felt like he was on top of things for today's race, but he's off just a little bit, and that's all it takes in this type of racing. You don't have to be lousy, just a little bit off the pace, and you're way back in the field.
And again, back with the leaders. Here comes the 42 car, Kyle Petty to the stripe. And just behind him comes number 28. There you see Davey Allison still trying to cut that interval down between first and second place. 5 lead changes among 4 drivers thus far. 1 1/10 of a second separate first and second position for this sold-out crowd of over 67,000. You add the suites in here, and you're up to 72,000. Packed house and more seats to be added before we return in September for that night race here in Richmond.
Yeah, and you talk about some dedicated fans. It is cold out there. It looks sunshiny, but believe me, it's plenty cool outside. It's not been one of the better weekends weather-wise. Boy, these fans are really loyal, and they've stuck it out all weekend.
Seeing a pretty good race as Davey Allison closes in. For the moment, Kyle has him covered. Take a look back here at Jeff Bodine in the number 15 car, 8th place. Right behind him, Dale Jarrett, 9th. As they put a lap on Schrader.
Yeah, did you see the 18 car really bust loose up off the corner? Busted the rear wheels loose off that corner. You want to go, that driver's mashing the throttle and wanting to go, and he just can't get a hold of the ground. It's slipping the wheels off of there.
Pulls up on Rick Wilson. Had a great finish in Daytona. Jeff Bodine, the 86 champion down there.
You know what's unique about this kind of stuff, Ken? You go to Daytona and you complain you don't have any power. You're down there restricted. You come to these places, you've actually got so much power, you can spin the wheels at any time on this racetrack. Kyle Petty sitting here leading the race. I promise you, he's not slapping the gas pedal wide open. He's feeding that throttle up off the corner. He can feel the wheels turn over. When it starts to spin the wheels, he rolls back out of the throttle. The key is at any point on this track, you can light those rear tires up. Just don't do it, or you pay the price.
You see Jimmy Spencer's Bobby Allison car. He's the last car on the lead lap, back in 17th spot. He could go a lap down right here. Dick Trickle is already a lap down just in front. Here comes Kyle. Now back once again with Dale Jarrett. And notice that he has moved around, got himself Jeff Bodine, so he's up to 8th. Bodine is back to 9th. And he goes right through the eye of the needle there with Rick Wilson on the outside. Bobby Labonte's number 22, the Maxwell House car on the inside. That Interstate Battery car, that is Jarrett. Right behind him, Bodine for the moment. Jimmy Spencer down a lap. good run here today, but that car is just that much off.
There we go. We see the 42 car taking the lead. He passes Spencer, and Spencer jumps on him and says, hey, let me try to follow him a lap here. See if he's running a little bit different line. A lot of times you see a guy go lap down and he'll hang on the leader for 2 or 3 laps, but he's really probably abusing the car more than he was before. He can hang on for a couple laps, but then he'll start falling off. See Spencer's car, the back end get out from under? That's the difference. Kyle's car is just a little bit better up off of that corner and use more throttle than Spencer can, and he's eventually going to get away from him.
Spencer was so confident that today was going to be a great day for that Bobby Allison team, that he was going to improve on his best finish in Winston Cup competition, which to date has been 3rd back in 1990 at North Wilkesboro, but not the case. He goes a lap down to Kyle Petty. 150 laps are now complete. 150 in the book, 112 miles of the 300 to be run. And for the moment, there's the man. He's up on Dick Trickle again, and here comes Davey Allison closing ground. Davey, are you feeling any ill effects from all those injuries you sustained last year?
I think I'm fine. Right now, I still have a little stiffness in my arm when the weather gets like it is, and I just have to keep stretching it out and working it. But as far as the strength, everything's coming back good.
The thoughts of Davey Allison, Bobby Allison's son. As we take a look at the running order here, we're well into the middle 3rd of the race now, and Kyle Petty continues to set the pace, but Davey Allison giving him all he can handle. A very quiet 5th for Dale Earnhardt. We'll have to watch him. Second 5 includes Alan Kulwicki, Dale Jarrett also there, Jeff Bodine, and Phil Parsons. Lots of great competition yet to come here at Richmond International Raceway. We'll have more of it for you on TBS Sports after this.
I'd like to see at least one more place that ain't settled before I...
At Richmond International Raceway, getting up toward 160 laps complete next time around. And car number 22, Bobby Labonte, is coming in. We're getting down toward time of fuel again, aren't we, Neil?
And they ran a good little while after that. We saw Bill Elliott pit while we were away, and he had to raise the hood. He had some problems. He lost a lot of time on pit road.
57 seconds.
Yeah, they might come in a little bit early, just depending on if the pace is falling off, but they still can go quite a bit yet.
Remember, they all came in at lap 74, and on this 3/4 mile track, will be at 160 when they cross the stripe this time. That's watching. That was Elliott's stop a few moments ago. They say they kind of took their time out there.
Yeah, watch him go under the hood, right? You see the guy bring the water hose over. He's snapping the water hose on top of the radiator, which pressurizes the water back in there. So not only are they coming in for tires, but they've got something wrong with running hot. See them taking the tape off the front of the car? They're trying to cool that car down.
Back with the action for 4th place. Rusty Wallace is there. Earnhardt's trying to take it away. A lot of people said it would be the 2 in the tray to decide this race today, and here comes Earnhardt down to the bottom. At lap 162, Earnhardt thunders down to the bottom of the racetrack. All at 161. He's there.
And there they go, getting together, going down in turn 1. These 2 guys really like to race with each other, and they got together a little bit going down that corner.
And both of them are intimidators. Earlier this year, Wallace had heard that Earnhardt was saying he's ready to run over anybody to win the championship, so he made it a choice, made it a real business to finding Earnhardt. He went out and had lunch with him and told him he said, man, I'm ready. This car is so good. And Dale said, well, you wouldn't do that to me, would you? He said, well, no. He said, you and I have rubbed fenders a couple of times, but I'm ready.
Boy, look at Rusty up off of that corner. He's racing now. I'm telling you, had her crank sideways. He slipped the rear end a little bit, let Earnhardt get by, but just like you say, Ken, these guys like to race, and I like to see them kind of turn them loose. Rusty and Dale, they don't mind mixing it up and rubbing a little bit, and you won't hear very many complaints from either one of them.
Now this battle is 8 seconds back from your leader, Kyle Petty first, Davey Allison second. There's Kyle up on the front, and there you see that Jimmy Means car, which has Jimmy Hensley at the controls. What a story that Jimmy Hensley car is this year, or Jimmy Means. Both of them. Now take a look at this. Here's Ricky Rudd in the number 5 car. He's in 11th, and Phil Parsons has slipped to 12th. Remember that Phil was in 10th. Mark Martin got a wheel under him, then Rudd. And so now you find Parsons back in 12th position, but still looking good. Rudd clambering up into the 11th position. Car number 5. Let's go back to Earnhardt here. There's Earnhardt, who's now 4th. Seeking Waltrip in 3rd.
Well,
Well, gentlemen, I was standing in the Dale Earnhardt pit a minute ago. I talked to crew member Will Lynn, asked them when they might be pitting. They're looking to come in around lap 200. Now, they're discussing how many tires they're going to take on. I saw him raise up 2 fingers. Now, Dale has come over the radio. He said the car is just a little bit loose, but he's just riding a little bit. And, Neil, you know, if that car's only a little bit loose and they can correct it, the competition's in for a heap of trouble today.
I'll tell you what, Randy, the key is every one of these teams. Earnhardt's saying he's a little loose. They'll adjust that. Rusty's probably calling his guys, say, I need a little bit of this, I need a little bit of that. As this race progresses along, don't hesitate. I'm telling you, don't be misled. We might see some of these other guys move up and challenge for the lead. Kyle's the one on top right now.
And Kyle just put a lap on Morgan Shepherd at number 21. Remember that Morgan led some of the early going for the Wood brothers in Stewart, Virginia, in the Citgo car, but now they find themselves a lap down, and they're in 16th position without another caution. Kyle Petty is going to run this field into the ground.
He's going to try his best to. When you're in a position like this, Ken, what you want to do, you say, well, I got him down, let me smash him, let's break their spirit. Not only are you leading the race, you want to just try to pull away and lap everybody you can, because these cars nowadays are capable of running 400-lap sprint races. This race, they're not going to be any pacing, they're going to be wide open.
Jeff Gordon, Ernie Irvin, Harry Gant, all about to get lapped by the dozer out here today. Kyle Petty in the mellow yellow number 42. Here you see Phil Parsons in the 41 car in 12th position, trying to put a lap on Michael Waltrip. Phil now says that more than ever, if you want to contend, you have to run hard every lap.
So strong. You know, the equipment is so good. You know, the brakes are so good now. People run hard as they can. I mean, we've talked about it in years past, how you run as hard as you can the whole race. So they are doing that. And they'll run as hard the last lap as they do the first lap.
Well, he has a new crew chief in Doug Reichert, and there's a guy that will work hard for you. Crew chief for Dale Earnhardt's first championship back in 1980. That's a good guy.
Phil Parsons is the type of guy that's been in the sport. He stepped out a little bit. He got back in. He won at Talladega and then had a tremendous wreck down there and came back from that. Phil Parsons is trying his best to get where he can go. Here's Kyle Petty coming down pit road right now.
Leader coming in. This is at lap 172. Kyle Petty is on pit road for Felix Abetis. Eases the car down. Crew ready. 40 miles per hour, if you're just joining us, is the call for the pit road travel today. Seems to be interminable till he gets there. Dick Bergman is there.
This is a scheduled pit stop. They had planned on doing this. Robin Pemberton is the familiar gas man on the right front. The man who is unfamiliar is the gas man on the left rear, however. It's Jerry Schultz rather than Richard Bostic, who had been fueling the car for several years. Schultz is filling in. Bostic has moved over to the other team, car 42. 4 tire change. Good stop for Kyle Petty. Less than 20 seconds.
And Wallace is also on pit road now. Gant's coming in.
It's not unusual to see these guys do. Let's go down to Randy.
Well, Rusty Wallace has brought the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac to a halt. This team has been whipping on pit stops like crazy over the last couple of weeks. Just prior to him pitting, they heard that Kyle Petty was going to pit. This team went frantic. They were trying to figure out what they were going to do with tires. They're going with 4. They're tracking about 3-4 rounds of wedge in the left rear. Rusty's down and away.
What a pit stop. I'm telling you, under 20 seconds for 4 tires. It's getting common for those guys to throw those kind of stops out. I'm sure these other teams will be filming those stops to see what they're doing differently.
Well, they've been filming stops and working on their choreography, and that's no kidding. Now you see Davey Allison in. Randy.
Joey Knuckles on the right front. Jackman already down and away from the right-hand side of the car. Second can of gas is already in. Norm Kuzmichu works on that. Oh, little miscue back there in the right rear. Pretty good pit stop, though. Now Davey's down and away.
I would say pretty good, Randy. Right at 20 seconds. We saw Rusty and him crank out a 19-something. A 20's not bad. Look at Mark Martin's car. Cranking putting bite in the right rear of his car. Cranking turns a few rounds there, so he's not happy with that chassis. They're changing it.
Rick Wilson is in. Parsons started in and backed up. With Martin coming out. Ricky Rudd has been in. Martin is back on the track. Leader is Waltrip in the 17. Earnhardt's the 2nd. Dale Jarrett's in 3rd. We have Bodine in 4th. This is at lap 177. Making these stops under green. Earnhardt is ready to pit. Car number 3. currently leading the Winston Cup standings, the 5-time champion, rolls down pit road. And remember, that 40 miles an hour seems like an eternity. Randy Pemberton is there.
Earnhardt brings the number 3 Goodwrench Chevy to a halt. And of course, Kurt Shelmerdine used to be the blazing front tire changer on this automobile. Now it's crew chief Andy Petrie. What happened here is Kyle Petty forced these teams to go ahead and pit early. But what they don't want to do is catch a caution right now. We've seen a few races get messed up because guys get a lap down under caution. Left side tires already out on the 4-tire stop. Earnhardt down and away.
Donald's pit stop timed at 19.9. Musgrave is in. Strickland comes in. Waltrip maintains first place. Darrell Waltrip at number 17 stays out there with new crew chief Barry Dotson looking on and Dale Jarrett in second. More in a moment. .184 laps are complete. Leader Waltrip is just pulled in. Back underway. Here you see Bodine. He's on pit road. Let's take a look at what happened when Darrell came on pit road. We'll get back to that in a moment. Meanwhile, we see Terry Labonte also coming on pit road. Schrader is there. Waltrip took on 4 new tires and gets himself back out there. And Waltrip is saying that knowing what to do with your tires and your timing of your pit stops, most important factors in winning here at Richmond.
Has about got all the really good out of them. And you're in a situation where you cannot afford, if you're leading the race, it's the worst position to be in, because if you go in the pit and put on 4 tires, say the first 4 or 5 does, but the guy running 6 says, I'm going to gamble. You come out and you got to pass everybody to get to that guy. He may get away far enough that you can't catch him on those new tires. So new tires are the absolute controlling factor of how well you run, but you got to know when to put them on.
You know, we were second guessing just a while ago why Kyle Petty came in when he did, but when you're leading the race, he couldn't afford to run out of gas, and once he makes that call, he makes everybody else have to do it. And the part Darrell's talking about, if somebody goes 2 tires and beats you out, gets your lap down, caution comes out, you're in trouble. So it's just a gamble any way you do it. The guy leading the race usually dictates what everybody else does. We just saw that happen.
Let's put the race back in perspective here for a moment. We're at lap 189. We work our way toward the mid-mark of the event. As things stand, you have Kyle Petty out in front and showing just incredible power and a car working well. Now you see that Gordon car. He has gone a lap down, the 24. Jeff Gordon is 11th and being shown, but he's trying to get the lap back right here.
Yeah, Kim, I don't understand what's happening to the 42 car, because we saw him come out. We saw the 21 car drive right around him. Now we're seeing a 24 car go around him. Seems to be a problem with Kyle.
And you're seeing the 28 Davey Allison move in for the lead. There's the battle. This is for first spot, and we need to get a message and get some understanding from the Kyle Petty pits as to what is happening here. There's Kyle Petty, who just had everything going his way. Now the 24 car, that is young Jeff Gordon, has taken back a lap, and here comes Davey Allison on the outside trying to go for the lead.
Here the car come up on a lap car of Bobby Labonte. That's going to put Kyle pinned down behind him. He was able to squeeze up in front of Davey, but Kyle is not up to the speed he was before. We've seen a couple of cars pass him.
As you watch this, bear in mind that in 3rd spot is Rusty Wallace. Running 4th is Dale Earnhardt, 5th is Kowicki, 6th is Waltrip, 7th is Dale Jarrett, and 8th is Mark Martin on the field. A little further back, 9th is Gant, and now Gordon is 10th, and we only have 10 cars in the lead lap, Neil.
Ken, it could possibly be that Kyle's car might take a few laps for the tires to do what he wants it to do before he can drive away, because it took him a while earlier to get to the front, and with the new tires, it seemed like several people got around him, but right now he's able to handle Davey.
Let's see if Dick Berggren can give us something more on that.
We'll go right to the source. What's going on with your race car?
The race car is fine right now. There's a couple of cars that are on the tail end of the lead lap, and they're running real aggressive right now. And like I said before, you know, we're a little snake bit. We're just trying to take care of our equipment. We had about a 1.5 second lead. Now it's down to about a car length. We'll let it get ironed out, get our rhythm back.
Smart move.
I tell you what, he said the key word is rhythm right there. once a driver gets settled in, he gets used to rolling down in the corner, rolling up off the corner, he gets a certain pattern going, and he gets to where he can repeat on that stopwatch time and time again, and Kyle's trying to get that rhythm back.
There you see the two leaders, Kyle Petty and Davey Allison, as we get down to lap 195 out in front. Looking back into the field, then you see the 98 car running a lap down. Derek Cope, with him comes Bodine. And Ernie Irvin, who's not having much fun out there today. Ricky Rudge, number 5, is back in the 13th spot.
Caution flag's out, Ken. Schrader got into the wall. The caution's out. Schrader got into the wall down there, knocked the rear end way over in the car.
Second caution of the day. And it comes at lap 196 for Ken Schrader, the pole sitter. Take a look.
Boy, there's Rusty Wallace on the inside, the 44 car. Rick Wilson. Schrader got out there in the loose stuff, up in those marbles, and the car just would not turn. And when I say marbles, it's just rubber out there. Gets in that stuff, it's like hitting oil, and you can't get the car cut.
So, Kyle Petty stays in front. He tried to put Jeff Gordon a lap down. Gordon would have no part of it. So he makes up that lap by half a car length. We'll have 10 cars in the lead lap when we return. Back with you at Richmond International Raceway, and we are halfway. 200 laps complete, 200 to go, and now there are 10 cars in the lead lap.
Ken, we just made the statement. We saw Schrader get in the wall, and you heard me say he got up in the marbles. Let me show you what the marbles are on a racetrack. This racetrack acts like a cheese grater to the tires. As the tire goes through the corner, it just actually shears off pieces of rubber, and it rolls up like bubble gum. Look right outside. You see the cars passing down low, but look high. Look at the big chunks of rubber. That's anywhere from ½ inch in diameter up to 2 inches, just like big balls of rubber chewing gum laying on the track. When a car gets out of that groove onto that, it just starts rolling up on the tires, and there's no control. And you can see what Schrader got into. There's no control once it happens.
Let's go down to Rick Benjamin, who is standing by with the Mint Snuff mid-race report.
Ken, we're just halfway, and we've had 9 lead changes already here this afternoon. 6 different leaders, although Kyle Petty has been the dominant driver of late. Our average speed, a little more than 108 miles an hour. 2 cautions for 9 laps, and we have only 2 cars out. One of the most amazing stories, Brett Bodine, whose motor we thought had completely gone away. They've fixed it with epoxy in his cylinder head. He's back running on the racetrack right now, but the situation, lap leaders, Kenny Schrader started out in front. Morgan Shepherd, who's had problems. Darrell Waltrip's been very strong off and on. Kyle Petty's really had the dominant car, though, for much of this 200-lap stretch. Davey Allison, Jeff Bodine also among the leaders.
Ready to go. That mid-race report, Mint tobaccoless snuff, brand new snuff stuff. See if Kyle Petty's going to snuff out Davey Allison's effort here as we get back underway. This at lap 202. Miles away, Davey comes searching. Right with him comes the number 2 car. Again, Rusty Wallace ready to challenge, and Earnhardt now to 4th, looking stronger by the lap.
Every one of these teams uses those cautions as an opportunity to adjust the chassis on their car, and we'll just have to see who makes the right move as the days goes along. They continuously work on these cars. Even the leader doesn't hesitate to change things on each stop.
Now the 15 car of Jeff Bodine is 1 lap down in 11th. You saw him there in the Bud Moore car.
There's Rusty. He's trying to get up under Davey Allison. Looked like he might have improved on his car a little bit. He faded the time before, but he's right there with him now.
Kowicki is the first Ford. He's back in 5th spot.
There's some of Kyle Petty's crew. They're clocking every lap just to see if their car is going to be able to repeat the good laps it made the time before.
There are the front 4. Petty, Allison, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt. Napa rundown after 203 laps. Give you an idea of the field. See where your favorite is running out here.
Well, we see all 3 of the leaders really twitching their ears up off that corner simply because they're cranking out real fast laps right now. Even though they got good race cars, when you crowd it, you're going to use up some of that racetrack.
Kyle Petty, 31st. Down at Daytona, 32nd at Rockingham, trying to turn it around and get that 7th Winston Cup win here today at Richmond International Raceway. Back in September under the lights on on Saturday night. If you haven't got your tickets, I would urge you to think about it now, because this place is absolutely sold out. They keep adding about 5,000, 10,000 seats every time you come here.
Well, I'll tell you, the Sawyers do a great job with this track. Ever since they've redone the thing and went bigger, they've really started catering to the fans. It's a great facility.
Kyle by a car length, about 135 miles an hour down that back straightaway in this 3/4 mile track. If you're just getting your set adjusted, it's been a great race. Morgan Shepherd got himself the lead early. He's now gone a lap down. Ken Schrader socked the wall after he had set on the pole. Doesn't look like that Unical money is going to get used up today. Add another $7,600 as the field moves on. Gets ready for the Motorcraft 500 in Atlanta, Georgia. That's coming up next Sunday. Then off to Darlington, South Carolina, where Jim Hunter invites you to come by and enjoy some Southern hospitality. Then on April 4th, they'll be in Bristol, followed by North Wilkesboro, Martinsville, Talladega. We'll be with you next at Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600 coming up on May the 30th.
Gentlemen, Davey Allison's team already concerned about tires. They've used 3 sets plus the set that they had on the car when they started the race. They have 5 sets of tires left in this event, so you can be betting that they don't want to see any more cautions, because every time they come in, they're probably going to have to take on the tires that the leader does. If he takes on 4, they'll probably do the same thing. We talked a lot about tires. They're already concerned that they may not have enough to make the race.
And remember that only 3 cars have dropped out. Rick Mast, Dave Marcus, and Jimmy Hensley have retired. That's where you go to buy tires right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, when you get in a situation where they're a little bit short on tires, some of these other teams, they'll start dealing and wheeling and dealing in there, trying to get them some extra sets. And if it goes green, it's not going to be a problem.
Price of rubber going up here in Richmond this afternoon. Here's the struggle in front, and as you've been noting, watching carefully, Kyle Petty seems to have that car twitching, particularly coming off 4, Neil.
He's got the car running right on the bottom of the racetrack. When he comes up, here he goes down the back straightaway. Let's see if we can follow him around. Watch how low he comes. He goes in this corner, but coming off the corner, he runs lower than anyone off of this corner, and he's had it twitching a little bit there. He's really been running the car. He's protecting that inside because of this guy you see right here. Davey Allison is wanting to take that inside, so it's making him really be defensive to the inside of the racetrack.
Kyle Petty, who won his first Winston Cup race here at Richmond, 1986, trying to hold off Davey Allison. Allison trying to nestle the nose of that 28 and taps him a little in the middle of 3.
Talk about nose. That was a little nose contact right there. Kyle gave him a little bit inside. Davey got in there. They just barely touched. Good hard racing off that corner.
Do you hear it or do you feel it more?
I always went up there till I felt them. Then you knew you'd go as far as you could go. You need curb feelers on these things, like when you used to park.
Great race for the lead. We're showing 215 laps complete at Richmond International Raceway. Kyle Petty in command, Davey Allison in second, Rusty Wallace is in third, Kowicki fourth, Earnhardt fifth, Dale Jarrett sixth, Darrell Waltrip seventh. Mark Martin is in eighth, Terry Gant is in ninth, and Jeff Gordon rides 10th. The rookie is still in it. He's down about 3 seconds, 3.5 to the leaders.
There's the 15 car. We see him. He's a lap down, but he's got that outside lane working for him now. He's trying to get a lap back, and while these guys are stacked up protecting the inside line, Jeff Bodine's going to try to get a lap back on that outside.
Now that looks like the old days when he ran the Armstrong Modified. Look at him up on the outside, wheeling through here. Now he's back third in this group, but running 11th overall in the race, 1 lap down. Davey Allison takes a look at the outside. Somebody's on the phone and telling him, hey, if that number 15 Bud Morford can do it up here, why don't you give it a shot?
But he gave it a try off of turn 2, and you saw him lose a little bit of ground. It's just going to take him a while to see if he can work that line.
See Kowicki's number 7. He's 4th.
I'll tell you what, if anybody passes Kyle Petty, it's going to have to be the outside. It looks like he's wearing that inside line out. Watch how low he is up off of this corner. Right where that abutment starts on the wall, he's right on the very bottom. If you pass him, you'll go down pit road on the inside.
There are your leaders, still in a bundle. Bodine wanting to make up some time as Kyle Petty stays first. Allison right with him. 200, 20 laps complete. Just behind this group. And you have Earnhardt, the number 3 car, 5th. Dale Jarrett right after him. There you see that interval. There's Earnhardt in the 3 and Dale Jarrett. They're in 5th and 6th positions, and gives you an idea of just how much space they have to make up to get back up and run with the leaders. It's another 10-car lengths back to Waltrip and to Mark Martin. And we'll have more of the Richmond Pontiac Excitement 400 after these words. 227 to 400 laps complete. There's your battle. Kyle Petty faces Davey Allison. Pontiac versus Ford at the Richmond International Raceway in the 40th renewal of the Pontiac Excitement 400. $720,000 at stake. Here comes Davey looking to the inside to challenge.
And he tried that outside lane, and he got a good run at Kyle and almost popped him in the rear, so he said, I'll just try him on the inside. But he's been playing with that outside going down in this corner here, and it's getting him a little bit better run up off turn 2. So watch him swing a little bit wider here. He's running a little bit higher line, and he gets a good shot at him every now and then. It takes him about 2 laps to build up into it.
Just behind him, Rusty Wallace is feeling some heat from Alan Kowicki. Dale Earnhardt having to contend with Jarrett, and Waltrip in the 17 overlooking the field. Let's get a Bojangles Racing update from Rick Benjamin.
Well, Ken, as always here at Richmond, it is not strictly a matter of Winston Cup racing on Sunday. It's been a full weekend of activity. Our Bojangles Racing update today, we'll take a look at yesterday's Hardee's Frisco 200 for the Busch Grand National cars. Run on a beautiful sunny day. Rick Mast, the early leader from the pole. This is rookie contender Roy Payne, who popped the wall for the first caution on lap 110. Second caution, about 30 laps later, the 02 rookie Michael Ritchie. Veteran Larry Pearson of the 92 get together on the main straightaway. Both those drivers are able to continue. About 40 laps to go. Mark Martin takes over. Dave Rezendes caused the 3rd caution of the day, hitting the wall. Then it was Mark Martin over Joe Nemechek, last year's Busch Grand National champion. Nemechek tried to close the gap, but he couldn't do it. Mark Martin, the winner, by about 10 car lengths yesterday in the Winn-Dixie Ford here at the Busch Grand National competition at Richmond International Raceway. His 2nd consecutive victory in that racing series. Want to give you a reminder that coming up a little later on, we're keeping track of the True Value Hard Charger standings. Every lap, the top 5 drivers score True Value Hard Charger points. At the end of the afternoon, the driver with the most points wins $1,500 from True Value Hardware. We'll have that result for you a little bit later on today.
Dan Connor's been a big race supporter since he had Tom Sneva win at Indianapolis, and he's gotten to really like these stock cars and the folks over there at True Value in Chicago. Take a look at Kowicki. Down low, puts that Ford to work, and he has Rusty Wallace pinned to the outside.
Well, the lap before, Ken, off turn 4, they really got together coming off the corner. They tangled pretty good. But there they go. They're touching again coming up off of that corner. Not near as much contact this lap as the time before, but they made the pass.
4-3. Kowicki there. Wallace back to 4th. And you can see that front end just snapped on that car for a second. He has to gather it back up. Gives Kowicki a chance to pull away. Now take a look a little further back. Here is Dale Jarrett in the 18, and guess who's back? On the outside, using that lane up there where nobody else has feared to tread today, Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip moving.
And it seems like it has to come to him. He can't force it. He's able to let the track kind of come to him. As he runs a little longer, he's able to work up there. Looks like Earnhardt's going to try it up there a little bit.
And moving to 5th, Waltrip. Back to 6th goes Jarrett, 7th Earnhardt. Here comes Earnhardt trying that outside for the moment. So on that swap of positions, you've got Waltrip up into 6th, Jarrett falling back to 7th, Earnhardt in 8th, and Earnhardt trying to get himself another notch.
Jarrett able to hold Earnhardt off that corner there. Seems like Jarrett's car works good on the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like Earnhardt loses a little bit of ground up there. Got a good count going down in the corner here. Off turn 2, it's really tight over here. Jarrett really has to give some room. Earnhardt and those guys are really tightened up off this corner. Looks like they just keep working it side by side. One can't get a real big edge over the other.
Who was it that said that Joe Gibbs, after his car, number 18, and won the Daytona 500, could give up that part-time job just so he could stay in racing?
I wouldn't consider the Redskins a part-time job. They'll be after you, Ken.
No. I mean his football job. Just because he'd won the Super Bowl 3 times. Then he won Daytona. That's what all the guys in the pits were talking about. Well, he's won the Daytona 500. Get serious now.
Yes, sir. Ready to go racing. Here's some people that are serious about racing. Put on the heavy underwear and a double-sized coat and sit out here and enjoy some good racing.
See Jeff Gordon's car back there, and there's Ricky Rudd in the 5. As you get a look back through the fields here, comes Ernie Irvin, who's not having much fun out here today. Hasn't been any fun for Irvin. He's 13th a lap down, and he likes to be up right in the middle of the hunt for first spot. There you see Morgan Shepherd. He has slid back. 21 car is being shown as 14th a lap down. Harry Gant, we really thought Harry was going to have a heck of a day. He still is in that lead lap, and caution's out. Yellow is down. Third time this afternoon. We have a caution on the track. I think we may have some debris in there. I don't see any car in any problem. This comes at lap 241. Kyle Petty leading, Davey Allison second, Alan Kowicki third, Rusty Wallace in fourth. Darrell Waltrip fifth, Earnhardt is sixth, Jared in seventh, Mark Martin in eighth, Jeff Gordon ninth, and going 10th, Harry Gant.
Ken, the only thing I see is Bill Elliott is sitting on pit road with the hood up. He might have put a little something out on the track, and NASCAR saw it.
Well, we'll try to solve this mystery after we take this brief break. Third caution of the day on the track here at Richmond International Raceway, a problem that puts us under yellow. You see the standings after 244 laps, and everyone has taken this opportunity to come on pit road and get their cars serviced in the Pontiac Excitement 400 at the Richmond International Raceway, event number 3 in this multi-million-dollar stock car series from coast to coast. Earlier this week, Lieutenant Colonel Mickelson had the honor of presenting the Air Force Reserve Commander's Performance Award.
Thanks, Ken. The Air Force Reserve Commander's Performance Award recognizes individuals who've made significant contributions to their sport, their team, and their community. Today's recipient is Dale Jarrett, who just 3 weeks ago drove his number 18 Chevy Lumina to victory in the Daytona 500. Off the track, he carries a strong message to America's youth in the fight against drug abuse. Dale, on behalf of the men and women of the Air Force Reserve, it's a pleasure for me to present this award to you, and knowing that your achievements on the racetrack are a result of a total team effort. We wish you, owner Joe Gibbs, and the entire Interstate Batteries racing crew future success in NASCAR.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. We certainly appreciate this, and I accept this award on behalf of my whole race team, who, without them, I couldn't be standing here receiving any awards, because they're the ones that really make this possible. Our sponsor, Interstate Batteries, Shell, and Food Line, we say thank you, and we'll continue our fight against drug abuse out there. You do your part, and we'll continue to do ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Colonel Mickelson. Looking out the Pontiac pace car at Davey Allison, who's in first place after that pit stop.
Yeah, let's show them how this happened on pit road. You know, right now Davey's leading the race. Let's show what happened. Here's Davey coming out of the pits. We see Kyle spinning, trying to get going the 42 car. He beats him out. There comes the 2 car. There comes the 7 car. Davey beats him to the line, so Davey took the lead on pit road.
Putting down some speedy dry, and they're at least a lap or 2 away from getting them cranked up. Understand the caution was for Ernie Irvin or for Bill Elliott, number 11. Elliott's car was putting down some fluid on the track, and hence we have this third caution of the day.
They said the caution before that they had been putting a good bit of oil in the 11 car, and they've taken the 11 car now, Bill Elliott's, into the garage to do major surgery on it. They're giving 1 lap to go, so we'll be back to green, even though we have all this oil dry around.
Now Waltrip is on pit road. Darrell Waltrip, who's made a really stout effort at this one, coming back in. Pulls all the way down to about the 3rd pit from the end. Fuel topping? What do you think?
Well, it looks like he's got something on the windshield right here. He probably ran through that oil and oil dry, and it might have been enough nuisance for Darrell. He felt like an extra stop to clean that windshield off so he could see a little bit better. They are putting the caution back out. We're going to go 1 more lap. Probably because so much oil dry all the way around the racetrack, and some of the drivers might be saying, hey, look, there's just too much out here. I mentioned just a while ago, it looked like we're going green, even though there's a lot of it out there, so they're going to try to clean it off a little bit more before they turn them loose.
Down the field comes with car number 28, Davey Allison up in front. Number 42, Kyle Petty is in second. Rusty Wallace is in third. Alan Kowicki is in fourth. Earnhardt is in fifth as they get ready to go once again.
Ever see Dale Jarrett cleaning his tires off, getting ready to go?
Field getting organized on a start. Pace car has the light off on top, and we're just about ready to go once again.
There's a good indication, Ken. You can see from the pace car. Look at the oil dry, the speedy dry flying up behind the car. So there's still a good bit on there. They're fixing to turn these guys loose, though. Won't take long to blow it off there with these cars.
Coming down for a start, coming to the line. Davey Allison holding the lead for the first time today. From Bobby Hillen's car. There's Hut Strickland alongside. Bobby Hillen having a handful out here today and running off the pace.
Look behind the car, Ken, and all the stuff flying up. It looks like running down a dirt road. It'll take a lap or two to blow all this off here.
Looks like an old-fashioned dirt track there for a moment. Here's the battle for second spot. Kyle Petty is there with Rusty Wallace.
We saw on the last restart, it took Kyle Petty a little while to get his car back up to the kind of speed he had earlier. And right now, Rusty's all over him again.
Jeff Bodine is right up there trying to get his lap back and not being successful. Look at Wallace meander to the outside.
Talk about trying to get a lap back. Here's Ernie Irvin down on the inside. Davey Allison is the leader. Irvin's getting real aggressive trying to get one of these laps back.
Ernie Irvin's in 11.
Just one down. If he can stay ahead of Davey, catch a caution, he's back in it.
10 cars are in the lead lap. Allison, Wallace, Kyle Petty, Earnhardt, Kowicki's 5th, Jarrett, Martin, Harry Gander's up to 8th, Jeff Gordon is 9th, Darrell Waltrip is 10th, and Irvin would make 11th.
We see right there coming off turn 4, there's Rusty Wallace on the outside of the 42 car. He couldn't make it stick. He's back in line. It seems as though it just takes Kyle a lap or two longer than the rest of them to get it back up. And once he gets that thing wound up, he's pretty tough. He's got his work cut out for him now because we're watching these leaders here, and Davey Allison's about 8 car lengths out in front of him.
Surprising performance by Davey Allison in the 28. Boy, it's been a tough year for him. 28th at Daytona, 15th last week, 2 laps down at Rockingham. Here for the moment at lap, I want to say 254, is that right? 254, 255.
You know, Davey and those guys are trying to answer a big question, Ken. Everybody says, boy, what happened to Davey at Daytona? They were off the pace. They're trying to answer that question themselves, and the best way to answer it is with a good run today. That'll put a lot of security back in that team and put a lot of confidence where it needs to be with that race team.
Now behind those two, look at this struggle as Wallace comes to the inside. Rusty Wallace is there. Kyle Petty on the outside in those Pontiacs. Flanking as they come through turn 1. Kyle comes right back in turn 2. Says that's a one-groove corner.
But you've got to be so careful of Rusty. Kyle had the ability to pull back up on that outside. He left that lane open. If he would have moved over the least little bit, he'd have pinched both of them on the outside wall. So you sure put a lot of confidence in that guy to leave you that little bit of room to get through there.
Rusty Wallace charging. He wants to go up, take a shot at Davey Allison for the lead. Alan Kowicki coming with Rusty Wallace. Here's Earnhardt in the 3. Still very much a factor in this race. Earnhardt, can't count him out the way he's been rolling this year.
Looks like Kyle's got caught out there on the outside. He's able to pull back up on Earnhardt. Earnhardt's car hasn't been able to get off that corner as good a lot of, but it looks like he's going to clear him this time. not uncommon to see Kyle and his team really use their head. We heard him say a while ago that they got a long way to go, and they've had a lot of problems this year. They don't want to create a problem. They don't want to take an extra chance. So they're worried about just keeping the car clean right now, where they have something left at the end of the race.
Ernie Irvan trying to stay in that lead lap, get himself just one more caution flag, get routed back to the leader. Rusty Wallace stays right here in second spot. Rusty, this year going to see you make a big push for that championship?
Well, first of all, we got our coordination with the team together, but the one big thing is we all got together and we made a decision to win the championship. Not a well, I'm going to try or I'm going to hope. We had to sit back and make it the decision to win, and that means a lot of sacrifices, and so we're going to do that this year. We sacrifice a lot of home life, a lot of being late nights at the shop to win, because we want to win.
Rejuvenated car number 2. They're sounding tough and looking sane. Here's that battle for 6th position. Jarrett on the outside, Mark Martin down low in the 6th. Just behind them is the 24, Jeff Gordon. You see Ricky Rudd's car. You must remember that Rudd is running 14th, 1 lap away from the leaders. So Mark Martin picks up a spot, gets under Jarrett, and he has himself 6th spot. Resetting the leaders for you. 28, Davey Allison out in front at lap 263. Just in front of him is Ernie Irvan, who is back in the lead lap, making 11 contenders to win it all here today. From Bobby Hillen's viewpoint, you're looking back, and there you see the Kenny Wallace Dirt Devil car right there with him.
Kenny Wallace and all the rookies involved here, Labonte, Jeff Gordon, they're really concerned about getting a good effort in here for that rookie championship.
So there you see the standings. It's Allison's race for the moment. Can it stay that way? We'll see.
You dreamed about it, but it took McDonald's to make it happen. A one-on-one showdown between you and Michael Jordan. Buy a McDonald's extra value meal and get an NBA fantasy pack free, or pick one up for only 59 cents with any other purchase. Collect exclusive Upper Deck NBA cards, win fantasy prizes like NBA season tickets, or a chance to meet the man himself.
Eyes closed, off the board, nothing but net.
Here we go again. Hurry, because what you want is what...
From the early 60s into the modern era, Richmond International Raceway has welcomed Pontiac to Victory Lane. Pontiac's first win here came on the half-mile dirt track of the old Atlantic Rural Fairgrounds. The year 1961, and the late Joe Weatherly, the pride of Richmond, ruled this track with his Pontiac, prepared by Bud Moore. Weatherly and Pontiac continued to rule the fairgrounds in the early 60s, winning races in 62 and 63, en route to back-to-back national championships. Pontiac captured the 1962 Manufacturers' Championship by winning 20 of 39 races, including an astounding 6 in a row. In 1988, Neil Bonnet guided his Raymont Pontiac to Victory Lane on the half-mile paved circuit, which was then named Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway.
I did win the last race here in Raymont Pontiac, and I'll tell you what, the Pontiacs have always ran good here. Rusty won the last race, so the guys with the Pontiacs aren't in bad shape at this racetrack.
The next year, Rusty Wallace and his Pontiac continued their quest for the title, winning both Winston Cup races on the 3/4 mile, newly renamed Richmond International Raceway.
The whole 1989 season was real dramatic. I mean, the 1989 race here at Richmond was just typical of that year. I mean, we were getting everything right at the very end. 20 laps to go, we take the lead. Right at the end, we win by 12 points in the championship. Everything was just going right down to the wire, but hey, that's fine as long as the outcome's great.
Pontiac still had one more element to cover at Richmond. It wasn't the surface or the size of the track. Richmond International Raceway decided in 1991 to run its autumn race at night under the lights. In September of '92, perennial favorite Rusty Wallace drove Pontiac to victory with their first win under the lights at Richmond.
The September win last year was real important. I mean, the Pontiac really ran good. My car owner, Penske, was here for the first time. The sponsor, Miller, was sponsoring the race. Everything was perfect that night. And to drive that Pontiac under Victory Lane was great.
Add the likes of proven drivers Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip, Rick Wilson, and Kenny Wallace, and you're guaranteed continued Pontiac excitement.
Well, here in the Pontiac 400, with 275 of the 400 laps complete, Rusty Wallace is looking after this guy right now. It's the Ford of Davey Allison out in front. Wallace is in second, and Kyle Petty has been relegated to 4th position. And also Ernie Irvan has been again lapped by Davey Allison. He's running about 4, as you see it here, maybe 5 car lengths back after he had himself up there to be 11 cars, the 11th car in the lead lap. He has now fallen back a lap to the leader.
Well, you mentioned 11 car. Look, there's the 11 car going in the truck. Had motor trouble. It's just been that type of year for Bill Elliott. They'll certainly get it turned around, but it's got to be disappointing the way things are starting off.
Taking the elevator ride up into the Caravan, that is certainly not the stairway to heaven for Bill Elliott here today. Davey Allison's car stays in first spot. Wallace second, Kowicki third, Kyle fourth, and Earnhardt is fifth.
There's Dallenbach in his car, following Bobby Hillen down in the corner. See a little braking down in that corner there, but we're not getting a true reading on this RPM right here because he's just not quite up to speed, and he's not turning a lot of RPM. Jack Roush's motor's really twist, and he just doesn't have this one up to speed right now.
Keystone car giving us some great photos here in this 3/4 mile track. You see Bobby Hillen just in front. Here's Derek Cope in the Trop Arctic camera car. Cale Yarborough carrying a brand new sponsor today. Just in front of him, Phil Parsons in 41. Phil had a very good run, was up in the top 10. He has now dropped back to 16th. He's being shown 1 lap off.
We saw Jimmy Spencer go by on the inside. The yellow car there, number 12 is Spencer. He opened the door, so here we see Cope jump down there and tried to follow him by, but he couldn't quite make the pass.
And up to 16th is Jimmy Spencer in the Bobby Allison car. Here's Bobby Hillen. Still working hard out here today, but when it's not going right, that's harder than if you're battling for the lead. As the number 90 car is just missing out here somewhere in the setup. Well back.
You're off the pace like that, it's hard to make it the rest of you. You want to get up there and get racing. You see Hillen going down here in turn 1, coming up off the corner. This is that tight part of the racetrack. The wall just jumps out at you. But see the light, you got a little bit of glare going down in turn 3. And just for a minute there, you lose a little bit of visibility, but you've got this big, wide exit off the corner. So, I mean, the layout of this track really suits these big race cars.
Well, the Heilig Myers people feel that they're going to come back, and he's going to get his second win in that car this year, and it would also be the second win in the history of Winston Cup racing for Junie Donlevy, who's only won one. That was Jody Ridley years back when they were competing at Dover, Delaware. They knocked one down. It was a long time ago, back in the early 80s, I think 81. Battle for third right here. There you see Kowicki. He's after Kyle Petty. Kyle's moved around. He gets himself up there with Ernie Irvin and scoots under him down here in turn number 1. Remember that Irvin is a lap down.
Yeah, Irvin fought real hard to keep that lap away from Davey Allison to stay in that lead lap. Ran his car exceptionally hard, but he lost that lap back, and now he's paying the price. He's following back further.
Now look at this for 7th spot. There's Mark Martin in the 6th, and Jeff Gordon is right back in this, looking for a top 10 finish today in that number 24 car.
I think when you put a deal together like this with a Jeff Gordon, everybody says, well, boy, let them stay together a year and they'll be real good. This guy is good right now. We saw that at Daytona. We saw him have a strong run. He had motor problems at Rockingham last week. But the 24 car here, Jeff Gordon, even though he's a rookie, he's up there racing with the veterans. And I wouldn't doubt to think that he's got the possibility of winning a race this year.
Just 115 laps to go, Neil, and they will not be competed by Jimmy Hensley. He's at the STP Pit Center right now. Here's Rick Benjamin.
Jimmy, what put you out here this afternoon?
Up, don't want to stop and just thought, learn to blow the motor up with this car.
What's ahead for you now? Was this a short-term ride for you with Jimmy Means?
Well, really, Jimmy had a lot of problems this week. His father-in-law died, and he was going to drive the car this week, and he called me Thursday, and I'd like to say, I'm sorry for the family, condolences to the family for Marcia and her losing her dad this week. So I don't know about, I'm just going to the races now and try to pick up something, or maybe something come along later on.
Hope to see you in Atlanta. You're defending Rookie of the Year on the racetrack right now. Davey Allison seems to have everyone covered. Was he the strongest driver out there?
Well, first 200 laps looked like him and Kyle were pretty much class the field, but I think probably any of these cars that's on the lead lap maybe still got a shot at winning this race.
All right, thank you. Jimmy Hensley, the Ridgeway, Virginia veteran, with us here in the SDP Pit Communication Center. Davey Allison at the moment with the lead over Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty. We'll be back for the final 100 laps in a moment.
At lap 296, 104 laps remaining. Take a look at this. It's Davey Allison and Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty, Alan Kowicki, Dale Earnhardt, all involved in this thing. For the moment, we're focusing on Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty. They're back there in second spot. What a turnaround for Davey Allison today to get himself together after two poor finishes in the early going. But the Hueytown driver, who qualified 14th, is currently leading. The battle for second remains between Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace, those two Pontiacs in there, having their own struggle. As the Ford leads, it would be the first victory for Ford this season if Allison can succeed. Remember that Bodine had a third-place finish at Daytona. Mark Martin put him on the pole at Rockingham. Now maybe they'll pull off the overall win.
Ken, we see the two-car. Rusty Wallace fell back just a little bit. There might be some things they can do to pick the pace on that car. Let's go down to his pits with Buddy Parrott along with Dick Berger so we can find out.
Well, Buddy, it's been running well so far today, but you're still in second. Can you make it up to first?
I'm sorry, Dick, I didn't understand.
You're running well, but you're in second. Can you push it up to first?
Well, of course, we're going to try. You know, the cars, we've been trying to adjust it all day long. It's a little bit pushy in the middle, and then we get a little loose. So but we're trying to gain on them, and we got one more stop coming up. And maybe we can do a lightning fast stop and put it in front. But like I said, we got some good competition today.
And if there is only one more stop, it'll be the most important one of the day.
Dick, it seems like the battle on pit road is getting to where it's more important than the battle on the racetrack. In the last couple of races, whoever comes out of the pits in front stays out front. So it's going to be the big battle is who gets off pit road first.
The interval is 2 2/10 seconds from first. Allison back to second. Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace, depending upon how you want to read it. They struggle back there. There you see Davey Allison just around Rick Wilson. And we're at lap 3:01.99 to go in this $720,000 battle. Davey Allison, the 1988 winner here at Richmond in the fall, is currently looking for his 19th Winston Cup victory and looking very stout here. The 92 Daytona 500 champion on a roll, but these are the guys that are the next contenders. Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace sitting just a little more than 2 seconds back. In heavy traffic is the leader, Davey Allison, lapping Ken Schrader. You'll recall that Ken Schrader slapped the wall earlier hard, got himself back out and was able to continue. There's Schrader's car, but it's well off the pace, the man that sat on the pole today.
Here's Davey Allison. Let's take a look at this interval. There's something happening. Before, they were just barely behind Davey. We see Davey enter turn 3. Look how far back. We're still falling back. Those two cars side by side, that's second, third place. And that is the key. They're racing each other. The more they race, they swap the lead a couple of times. Davey Allison is driving away while these guys are battling for second, third place.
Leading now by more than 2.5 seconds is Davey Allison. And so this pit stop will become all the more critical. Neil, when they come down pit road this time, that Parrott crew comes through as they did at Rockingham, that could change the situation around one more time.
They can put him right back in the middle of this. And it's times like this, Ken, I don't know how many people approach me and these teams say, boy, I'd like to work on one of these pit crews. What have you got to do to work on a Winston Cup pit crew? Well, let me tell you, folks, no matter how good you are, when you're the key on this car getting in and getting out in 19 or 20 seconds, you'll think about having that job. The pressure is on those people behind pit wall when that car comes in there. But if you mess up, you lose the race. You're just as critical as the guy driving that race car.
Neil, Ken, one of the drivers we haven't heard much from in the last hour, this gentleman, young Jeff Gordon, the top rookie contender in the number 24 car. He clipped the wall about 100 laps ago, and now we're told one of his rear fenders is rubbing a tire. So Jeff Gordon not with the strongest of outings here in the late going this afternoon.
Still strong enough to be 9th overall in the field, running just in front of Harry Gant. 10 cars remain in the lead lap. And Gordon up there in that lead lap is looking terrific right now. Back with that leader, Davey Allison. 2 6/10 seconds now as Davey pulls away.
Yeah, the more they race behind him, the stronger he's going to get, the more he's going to pull away. they're going to have to mount a charge. But as long as they race against each other, Davy's pulling for that. I'm telling you, Davy's glad to see them race like that.
As you look at these cars on this track, which has so much of the super speedway flavor and still has never lost the short track flavor, Neil, in the old days, you'd bring a car out of this place and you didn't have one fender, one panel that wasn't bent or busted. Now today you have to be a little more careful. How much of a race car are these guys willing to give up out here today?
When you come to a track like this, you know you're going to get in a little beating and banging. You're going to have a little bit of trouble. You're going to roll some fenders back. But you damage that car really bad and mess up the aerodynamics on the car, and you'll pay the price. So these cars are beefed up. Under those fenders, there's some pretty good roll bars. These things got like Nerf bars all the way around them, so they're ready to lean on each other a little bit.
The Vestas number 8 looks like it's about to give up the go. Sterling Marlin, who's had 8 second-place finishes, now driving for the Stavola folks, and it is slowing down here as we get into those last 90 laps of competition. So we'll be back to give you more of the Richmond International Raceway's Pontiac Excitement 400 after these messages.
Hey, racing fans, Budweiser asks, who won? November 6, 1983, Atlanta International Raceway. Dale Earnhardt dominates the early stages of this 500-miler, but the Intimidator became a spectator after just 49 laps. He suffered from a broken clutch. From that point, 5 drivers fought for the lead, including the late Tim Richmond, until he blew a motor on lap 120. Soon, Bobby Allison took command, and he was on his way to the victory stand. But who won? Here's a list of possible drivers to jog your memory. We'll be back with the answer after this. If you guessed Neil Bonnet as the winner, you're right. Here's how the rest of that event in Atlanta unfolded. Bobby Allison was running, going for his 7th win of the year, but 7 laps from the checkered, trouble started. Jimmy Means and Mike Potter spun in the 4th turn, causing the day's 6th caution flag. Bobby Allison was heading for the pits, but he blew a tire. And the tire problem sent his number 22 Buick right into the pit road wall. From that incident, Buddy Baker took command with Neil Bonnet a very close second. Then, just 3 laps from the finish, Bonnet takes his Chevrolet to the inside of Baker and goes on to victory by less than half a second. Who Won is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud.
320 laps are now complete at Richmond International Raceway. Yeah. Guess who didn't know that he won Atlanta?
Y'all are doing these little pieces just so it'll revive me. I can't remember those little deals, all of them.
It looked good out there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Charlotte twice. One here. This is the first track you ever won on.
That's right. Here's Ricky Rudd on pit road. Putting a little bit of bite in the car. See him cranking on that right rear. Everybody's going to get 4 tires.
Running 17th, Rudd. 21 seconds and he's away.
It's a heck of a note when 21 seconds is slow for 4 tires, but that's the case today.
Here's the leader, Davey Allison, and now he has a 3-second advantage over Kyle Petty in second and Rusty Wallace third. Boy, he is flying.
Well, the red stop was 4 tires, but the longer you can stretch this on fuel, the less fuel you have to put into the car, so normally it would take less of a stop. So I think maybe what you're going to see is 2 tire stops. Davey Allison is planning on coming in from laps 350 to 355, somewhere in that area. Alan Kwiatkowski as well as Rusty Wallace, 350 to lap 355. So we'll see what happens, but could be a gas and go, could be a 2 tire stop.
Working lap 324 at the present time in the Pontiac Excitement 400. That gives them 76 laps to decide the $700,000 plus purse this afternoon. As Robert Yates' team, Larry McReynolds, the crew chief, has command at the present time, trying to turn things around in the Pontiac Excitement 400. The Ford interest here today, Neil.
We've heard that big battle all season long, GM Ford, and everybody says it's out of balance, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It almost seems to me as NASCAR's got one of the most level playing fields they've had in a long time. We get to these tracks, we're going to see Edgar Hamlin all into it, so they'll be right back in it. You see right there's Kyle Petty, but look how far Rusty Wallace has passed him. See Rusty to the left of the frame? Rusty passed him just a few laps ago, and is trying to move on out now. I don't know if he's going to be able to close on Davey, but while they were racing, Davey opened that gap some more, but Rusty is getting away from Kyle a little bit.
About 3 5/10 of a second between first and second. Now Allison to Wallace.
Pulled away a little bit. That probably had something to do with that much racing. It took them 2 laps to get around each other there. Davey stretched it some more. You know, it almost makes you concerned. These 2 guys, their cars look really, really good, but Davey's still pulling away. Allison's car must really be coming to him the longer they run.
Average speed is 107 miles per hour, which is 2 miles an hour over the record. 105.3, that Earnhardt mark of 1991, could get shattered here today. Here's Harry Gant. He's running in 10th. Started 34th today. Had a great run out here in car number 33, Mr. September, who had that great run here back after the autumn. 2 years back now, really. But he had a great run last autumn, too.
Yeah, and last week, I mean, he was a key figure in possibility of winning the race and had an oil pump actually break off of the block. The mounting bolt broke off the block and lost the motor, but Gant's trying to get his program back on track. They switched from Oldsmobile to Chevrolet, and it's put them to working a little bit.
Here's Derek Cope's camera. Trop Arctic giving us these pictures out of the Cale Yarborough car. Looks like they've got some added life in this team again. Addition of another sponsor for them. Hope it works out for that team. I hope it works out for Jimmy Means. I understand they've got an 800 number for him. Broke his shoulder, lost 3 cars at Daytona, but he's still out here. Had Jimmy Ansley out here today trying their best. A lot of fans love that guy just because he goes out and tried so hard.
I tell you what, Means was a winner back in Alabama when we raced against him. Maybe he can get his thing going there where he can get back up front.
Say they're black flagging car number 44, Rick Wilson, the petty car. We'll get you a reason as to why here, as they've told Rick to bring it on pit road. They say he's leaking some fluid out there, and he's also lost his radio. Usually they communicate down to the crew chief, and he gets on the radio. They've had his number up and the flag up. They got him in.
That could be the black flag. They might be calling him in for him.
Indeed, that's the case. They've told him to come in. He's on pit road. Richard Petty's number 44, Rick Wilson aboard. We're showing 339 laps complete, 61 remaining. And there's the man to beat, Davey Allison. We mentioned he's won in the fall. His best finish in his Pontiac 400 was 4th just a year ago. He's looking great right now.
Not looking so good right now. The car has definitely developed a little bit of a push. The key is, what are they going to do? They're going to try and gas and go and make up some ground. Right now, I would suggest they're going to try and put 2 tires on the car, at least right side, but they're not saying. All they are saying is they're looking for him on lap 348.
3 8/10 of a second, the difference between first and second, Allison and Wallace.
That was Felix Sabatos we saw in the shot there. He was watching his car. He stays right on top of that race team. I'm concerned now. We've got Davey Allison leading the race. Here's Kyle Petty. The key is, what does Davey do? Somebody's going to wait and make them lay their cards on the table first. If one guy goes in and gets 4 tires, the next one's just going to try 2. If they just get gas only, the other guy's option is only gas. So they're going to have to let somebody make that first move, and then you'll see a scramble.
10, 15 laps away, that final pit stop, unless there's a caution. 10, 15 laps away. Showing 3:42 complete. In the Pontiac Excitement 400 from Richmond International Raceway. Allison looking for his first win of the season. What a great year last year. What a tragic year last year. 5 wins. But everything equaled by some terrible moments for Davey Allison, trying to turn it around here this afternoon. Rusty Wallace, who started this year upside down, end over end, side over side in Daytona, comes back and wins last week. And he's trying to repeat today. He's in second spot, but he's got some making up to do.
Well, if we can believe what they're telling us on pit road, Kyle Petty will be among the first of the leaders to pit. Then we will probably see Davey Allison come in, and only then will we see Rusty Wallace come in. Wallace's strategy almost certainly will be established by what the other 2 leaders do. They just had a big conference here. They like the way the car is running. They're just going to sit tight until the time comes. Around lap 350.
What would you do?
Well, I'd try to read what the other guys are going to do. I think that's what Rusty Wallace feels like they'll do. If they think Kyle Petty's coming in first, Davey Allison's coming in next. They'll have to adjust their plans according to what Davey Allison does. If Davey should put 2 tires on, I can't help but think his 2 car will gas and go. They're going to have to do something to make up this difference on the racetrack.
Rusty Wallace won just 1 race last year. It was here on a Saturday night in Richmond. A great one. Now the St. Louis, Missouri driver is going for his 2nd of this season. This track was redesigned in '88, and Wallace leads all drivers since they made it into a 3/4 mile track with 3 wins here. He certainly knows the racetrack. He likes this size. Of course, he likes to go fast. He likes anything as long as you can race it.
Yeah, they've been running good here. Ken, what I'm trying to read now, we're seeing Davey Allison right here. This is the lap coming up that Kyle Petty said that he would be coming in. Are they telling us the truth? Are they telling everybody? Let's see. This is the lap that they call for to come in.
That's
see if Kyle
3:48.
Here he comes. He wasn't telling us a lie. He's going to bring it in there. They made this judgment call. They're losing ground, so they've got to gamble that the tires will pick them up.
Randy Pemberton is waiting on car number 42 as it eases down pit road, trying not to disobey that 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. Meanwhile, Allison stays first, Wallace second, Kowicki now to third, Jarrett to fourth, Earnhardt fifth. Down to the pits.
The guys trying to spread out as much as they can. Jeff Gordon pitting right next door. Just what we thought so far, right side tires. Now, what are they going to do? Come around the left-hand side. Robin Pemberton out of the way first. They get enough gas in the car. This is a long pit stop, I think. He's down and away.
Wow. Randy, was a long stop, but still for 2 tires. We know if they had went forward, it took 19 seconds. We see Earnhardt coming in also. They're going right side tires.
And Kowicki is in. Jeff Gordon is in among the cars in the lead lap. Remember, as Jarrett stays on the track now, he picks up some spots.
Earnhardt's going 4 tires. They're pulling it off. They're going to go. They were off the pace so bad, they feel like they're going to try 4 tires.
Mark Martin pits. Gant comes in. Kenny Wallace is in. Now Rusty Wallace. There may be a penalty on car 3. There was. They held him. I think they held him, what, 15 seconds? 15-second penalty on car 3 for coming in too quickly. Here's Dick Berggren.
Rusty Wallace is in now. They are ready for a 4-tire change. Whether, in fact, they do it or not remains to be seen. Yes, it will be a 4-tire change on Wallace. Right side tires are down. Meanwhile, Davey Allison's crew is getting ready to bring him in. Wallace left side up now. It's not as fast a pit stop as some that they have had so far. At this point, whoa, it winds up mighty fast. 19.47. Davey Allison is going to come right in on his back bumper.
See, now Rusty made the 4-tire stop. We got out of sequence. Who's going to? Does Davey go forward? Does he feel like he needs those 4 tires?
Dick Berggren is there as Davey Allison approaches very carefully. A 15-second penalty allocated to car 3. Came in too quickly.
They are going to do 4 tires.
Yeah, they sure are. It is going to be a 4-tire stop. So everybody's going to go with a new rubber and try to chase down whoever it's going to be. And it's probably going to be Kyle Petty that they're going to have to catch when this round of pit stops is all done and over with. Taking only 2 under the green flag. This is also a very good pit stop for Davey Allison. 18.27. Nice stop.
Lap 3:53. Black flag is out on car number 3. Was it on 3 or the one behind him?
Number 40.
Number 40. Right behind him came the Wallace car. They put out the black flag, and it is. You can see the sign. It now says number 40, and he'll have to come back around. There's the number 40 being brought back on pit road, coming out of the pits too fast. Earnhardt caught coming into the pits too quickly was the call. So he takes the penalty, and he's back underway. Here's how things stand. Waltrip is in first. We're at lap 3:55 of 400 to be run. Waltrip is in first. Davey Allison being shown in second. I don't believe so. I think they still have Bodine in there, a lap down. Still got Waltrip up as the leader.
It's going to take a few laps for this to shake out. We had the leaders come in a little bit early because they felt they needed the tires for the speed. They couldn't afford to run out of fuel. It's going to take a few laps for these cars that have been back in the field a little bit to come on in and pit to put it back in sequence where they need to be.
Here's the situation. Waltrip has the advantage in car 17. Yet to pit. Staying out there, it's lap 3:56 that he's working at the present time. then everyone else that's showing up on your leaderboard would be a lap down. That would be Bodine running in the second position at the present time, followed by Allison being shown a lap down until Waltrip comes in. Kyle Petty would be fourth. Rusty Wallace would be fifth. Here comes 17. Waltrip is onto pit road, and right behind him comes Jeff Bodine.
That was the two cars that were up in front. So after this sequence of stops by these two guys, we'll be right back where we were with the other leaders.
It'll be 28-42. Randy Pembroke.
Darrell Waltrip took it to the limit. Once again, he said he was out of fuel, but he had to try to stay out there to see if he could catch a caution, put everybody a lap down, and then he would have gone on to victory. Right now, they're on the right-hand side. Second can of gas all the way in. Darrell looks pretty comfortable. They're going 4 tires all the way around. So we're just going to have to see the way this one plays out with Kyle Petty on 2. If he can do anything, Darrell Waltrip down and away with 4 tires.
Staying green. Looks like we may have ourselves a record here today at Richmond International Raceway. At 105-mile-an-hour mark, belonging to Earnhardt in 91 in jeopardy. Another caution, though, would nix that. Morgan Shepherd is just pitting at this moment. Lake Speed back in another time.
We see Earnhardt right here behind Davey Allison, but that penalty put him, that's how close he is. He's a lap down to Davey right there, so he's racing, trying to get the lap back, but Davey's car is so strong, it's going to be tough to do.
Earnhardt in the 3. Working to get around Allison and then pray for that caution flag. 360 this time by and 40 laps to go.
After that set of pit stops, let's see where the 28, we see the 28 going under right there. Let's go back to where the 2 car, excuse me, the 42. You see what a lead is involved, is mounted to. They both had good stops, but Kyle just put on 2 tires and he's not able to go like he was before.
Only about 40 laps remaining of racing here this afternoon. We take a look at the STP rundown. Davey Allison out in front over Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace. Alan Kulwicki also showing in the top 5. Your second 5 includes Jeff Gordon, Morgan Shepherd, who's really done a great job coming back, Mark Martin, Harry Gant, and Darrell Waltrip. Dale Earnhardt has dropped back to 11th after that penalty. And then the cars that are out a lap down, Irvin, Rudd, Jeff Bodine, and Jimmy Spencer. 40 laps roughly to go, hopefully all green here at Richmond International Raceway. We'll be back to bring it all to you on TBS Sports when we continue after these messages.
We're back with Davey Allison. 372 laps have been completed of 400 to be run. 372 of 400. And we're watching as Davey Allison continues to lead. In that second spot is Rusty Wallace in the interval at the present time. Still stays a little more than 3.
It's way back there right now. Davey really got out. They were close on pit road, but Davey must really be running on the racetrack because he's pulling away.
4 and 2/10 seconds. Big advantage for Davey Allison over Rusty Wallace. Get you a little further back. Alan Kulwicki is 3rd. Dale Jarrett is 4th. Kyle Petty is 5th. And 6th is Jeff Gordon. 7th is Martin. Going in 8th is Harry Gant. 9th is Waltrip. And a lap down is Earnhardt in 10th. 9 cars sustaining that lead lap. Let's go to Randy Pembroke. Find out what's happened.
What happened on the 42 car of Kyle Petty, they were very close on fuel. They all had to come in with a matter of a couple of laps. They were forced to come in first as opposed to running out of fuel and finishing maybe 15th. So they wanted to take on 2 tires, but what happened? A slight miscommunication in the pits. As soon as the 2 tires were on the car and the front tire changer was out of the way, the jack should have been dropped and the car takes off. But the jack man waited just a little bit too long, waiting for fuel to be in the car, fuel that they'll never use. It'll be left over in the race car at the end of this race, and they lost about 6 seconds. So he probably would have been in a different position at this particular time had they gotten out when they should have.
There's the story.
Yeah, and that's the key. They don't have anybody on the radio say go, or the guys don't wave over pit wall. The key is when the jack goes down, the driver leaves. The jack man is the one that makes that call, and evidently there was a little miscommunication that cost him.
Terry Labonte and the Billy Hagan car, number 14, that Kellogg car. They have got to have a good run soon. They're 24th in this race. That is a good team. They've done a lot of work this year, but for the moment, they're an also-ran here in the Pontiac Excitement 400. Not the way Labonte likes it. Remember that great win at Talladega? What a dramatic finish that was for him. He's been with Billy Hagan. They seem to have good chemistry. That will come around. For Davey Allison, it looks like it may come around today. After those 2 defeats earlier this season, he has this race in control. There you see Wallace in second spot. Time running out, 378 laps of 400 now complete. We're inside of Wally Dallenbach's car. He's in 27th, and that car never came up to snuff this afternoon.
We noticed right off the bat he couldn't get up off the corner. He couldn't turn the kind of RPM it took to run up front. They've been off, and they just haven't been able to get it back.
Dick Bergen, tell us about tires. What's the situation? We heard there was a shortage when the race began. What's the story as we get down to its conclusion?
Well, there's still tires here, Ken. There aren't an awful lot of them, but there's enough. For example, Davey Allison's got a couple of sets. Rusty Wallace has 1 set, so there's not a problem with anybody running out. I think the question at the beginning was, how good were these tires going to be? And I think the fact that we've only had 1 crash-induced yellow flag says the drivers are very much able to control the cars on these tires. So there were enough tires to go around, and they did work.
So the Haviland Texaco car has the tires, has the fuel. Everything seems to be going their way, but that doesn't mean that with 20 laps to go, now 18 laps to go, it can stay that way. We're going to stay with you unless we have a caution. We might break to a commercial position, but other than that, we'll stay with you right down to the finish as Allison continues to dominate with Rusty Wallace in second and Alan Kowicki in third. As we look back through the field, there you see that Labonte car in the number 14. Terry Labonte still struggling to get his season underway. See some of those 67,000 folks. There's Dick Trickle. Gee, they've had a tough afternoon.
Yeah, they've been trying to get it going. They just haven't been able to get the car going. They switched, Raymock switched from the GMs to the Fords. They're working on it. They're getting it a little bit better. There's Rusty and Earnhardt racing. Rusty's in second place, trying to run down Davey Allison.
Earnhardt's back in 10th.
He's a lap down.
That's a tough one for Earnhardt. Again, he got nailed for a 15-second penalty. Here you see Ricky Rudds, number 5, running in 15th position. He too a lap down here this afternoon. Not having any fun out there. That's no fun at all. Just that far back.
This late in the race, when you know you don't have a chance to win, it's a big problem. It makes for a long day, and this guys will be glad when it's over.
Here's Kowicki. Now he's up in third spot as we're looking back through the field, giving you an idea where they are around the racetrack with now 15 laps to go. And there you see the Cale Yarborough colors. Derek Cope, a wild ride down at Daytona, looking good and strong here today, but they too have to go back and do a little homework on that car number 98. It looks like some things may begin to happen for them. Running 19th. Behind him is Dale Jarrett's car in 4th spot. So after last year, it was just calamity after calamity at the outset of the season. Things are really turning around. A win for them, a good finish last week. They're up in the points. Came in just, what, 20-25 down from Dale Earnhardt in the battle for the championship this year. Looks good. 4th place for the Joe Gibbs car at the present time. And there you see that Kyle Petty car in 5th, having its problems. Here's Ernie Irvin. And right beside him, the 68 car,
Bobby Hamilton.
Bobby Hamilton out of Tennessee. They're showing him as 5 laps down in the country time car this afternoon. Jarrett finishes 4th. Earnhardt runs 10th. Jarrett gets a 1-point lead in the Winston Cup standings. How about that?
I tell you, a lot of times you see a guy go to Daytona and he'll win, and he'll come out there and not be able to be real consistent. Jarrett's team seems to really be on top of things now. They win Daytona. They go last week. They run good. The 3rd race of the season. Looks like they're going to be a contender for the championship.
Rick Wilson back out again in the Richard Petty car, and there you see Sterling Marlin. Boy, it's tricky to say Sterling Marlin in that Ray Bestis car for the Stavola brothers, isn't it? At number 8.
He's all the way back in 31st place. He's been struggling all day long.
And here's Mark Martin in the number 6. He is your 7th place runner. Thought he might have a little stouter run. I thought he might be the one that would be up there, but no, it's Davey Allison. And there's Schrader, who set on the pole. That car slapped the wall hard, but he was able to keep going. They're going to get some good finishes out of him this year. That team is coming together. And here's Wally Dallenbach.
I really thought he was going to have a better run this afternoon than he's had in the Keystone car.
I'm sure he will have some good runs, Ken. That car really runs fast. Wally's really getting on top of the situation. He's dedicated to run good in Winston Cup. They'll certainly get it sorted out. We're down to 8 laps to go while we're doing this, so this thing is winding down.
But out in front with a 4-second advantage remains Davey Allison. There you see Brett Bodines, number 26. He was up in front. He battled for the lead early in the going. He's now several laps down as we get to the finish of this one this afternoon. But the Bernstein car for leading now finds itself back in 32nd. We're with the leader, Davey Allison, as he runs out his last laps. Working lap 394 and putting a lap on Hut Strickland. Strickland is 18th overall in the field as we get down to the end of this day. And this is one of the biggest advantages anyone has had in this race since they developed this track into a 3/4 miler, Neil. We haven't seen anything like this. We are going to see a record for the distance. The rate he's traveling now, it's up to 108 miles an hour. The old market 105.3 for Earnhardt in 91. Unless something untoward happens right about now, this is a record. And Davey Allison will have it. And we'll have our third different winner of the 92 campaign. 5 to go.
Davey's team certainly need this. Not only does Davey Allison and Robert Yates' team need it, they almost had to have it because they were such a strong team last year. And to get off to the start they had, this right here will put them right back in the picture to be strong all season long.
Only 4 cars out of the race. Mast, Marcus Hensley, and the one you saw being loaded earlier, Bill Elliott, leaving town. Well, not exactly leaving town. Takes a while to get those transporters out of the infield. Packed house, over 70,000 here at Richmond. They're back in September. Hope you'll be here to see it. We had a whale of a race that Rusty Wallace won a year ago. He's in second for this man, Davey Allison, at the present time. Kowicki stays third. You know, the Fords really have had a day. First and third out here at the present time, Neil.
Yeah, we've heard that all season long about who's got the strong car, who's got advantage, whatever. But I'm just telling you, it looks like it's pretty level. Here's a Ford winning the, right out front. Here's third place, Alan Kowicki.
He keeps getting those seconds. Now he's had 2 seconds here since they changed the track over. Gets the third today. Got to get a win in this. He's always in it. So Davey Allison scored those 5 wins a year ago. Picks up his first if he can just keep it flying here through a couple more. This could be his 19th victory if he takes the checkers today. 7th full season on the Winston Cup scene. Robert Yates bought that team from Harry Ranier back in '88. White flag is down, and there's 1 to go. And Davey Allison in his 5th year with Robert Yates is on his way in that final lap, looking for win number 19. There's one here, as we mentioned earlier, in the fall race, which is now a Saturday night affair. We're going to be here in September to enjoy it. Allison coming from 18th to 8th in the Winston Cup point standings as he takes the checkers here today. What a jump up for him, and Jarrett leads Earnhardt by 1 point in the Winston Cup standings as we bring this one to conclusion. Davey Allison has done it. He wins by a margin of 5 2/10 seconds. We got a crash on the finish line. 3 cars coming across the line, and it's Wallace, Bobby Hamilton, all snarled up as they were battling right to the checkers. It was over for the leader. He was already in the backstretch, and look what happens in the main straightaway. We'll be back to show you the story of this one as we end this race with an exclamation point after these messages. Stay with us. Getting the story together of this finish that had 2 cars in the wall down here on the finish line. And the other big story, of course, is right over there in Victory Lane. Let's join Dr. Dick Berggren over in the Bojangles Winner's Circle with Davey Allison.
You did a great job on the racetrack today, Davey, but did you have trouble finding Victory Lane? They moved it.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been since 1988, the September race, since we've been here at Richmond. So I didn't know where I was going at first, but they told me on pit road, and I turned around and went back out and came back. Hi, Liz, the kids, Mom, and Grandma. We did it today.
How hard did you have to drive this thing to get here?
We ran it hard all day, but I'll tell you what, I got to say thanks to Robert Yates and Larry McReynolds and all the Texaco Haviland race team, because they just hung in there with me all day. We were patient. We just bided our time. We did the right things on the racetrack. We had great pit stops all day. And here we are, Texaco Haviland Thunderbirds in victory lane again.
Where on the racetrack were you better than Kyle and Rusty?
I don't think I was better than them in too many places, you know, maybe just getting off the corners a little bit, but I think we beat them in the pits mostly.
Last year you started out with a win at Daytona. This year you start out with a couple of rough races and then a win here. How big a win is this for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that this is going to be the best momentum builder that Robert Yates Racing could possibly have right now. You know, we had a bad start, but we never gave up. These guys never give up. They're the most enthusiastic bunch of people I've ever worked with, and I'll tell you what, I think they're the best.
You looking down the road toward December?
We're not giving up yet. We may be down, but we're not out.
Davey Allison, thank you. Victory lane. He's done it today at Richmond.
And, of course, he'll be back here at Richmond on Saturday night, September 11th. That's the second Winston Cup race here on this 3/4 mile track, and it ought to be a dandy. This race today, he dominated that last 80 laps. And take a look at the result of that last moment effort here on the finish line as they're picking up the Kenny Wallace car. Here's what happened.
We'll see if we can see them. They come in. This is looking down the front straightaway. See them coming off the corner. We see the yellow car is the 68 car, Bobby Hamilton.
Looks like he got tagged.
Looks like he tagged maybe the 44 on the inside. It's hard to tell who it. And then the 40 car of Kenny Wallace got involved. Really tore the cars up.
So, two-car tangle right on the finish line. What a way to finish it. We'll be back with more here this afternoon. Got a new record, 107 miles an hour. We'll talk a little bit more about that after this. Well, there you see the unofficial results. Davey Allison in first. Rusty Wallace coming home second. Alan Kowicki finds himself third today. Dale Jarrett with an outstanding run to fourth. And Kyle Petty comes in fifth. Let's go back down on pit road and meet another of these champions.
Rusty Wallace, a great run. You come from flipping at Daytona, win a week ago, in second place. Good job today.
And the car was real strong today. The crew did a wonderful job again, good pit stops and stuff. Davey was good today. Our times on the racetrack in the last 50 laps were exactly the same, but he was way up there. I just couldn't get to him. But like I told all the guys back at the shop on the radio after the race, it was a job well done. Good pit stops, good day at the office, and the Miller Genuine draft car is hot as ever. I mean, we need things like this to win that championship, and we're well on our way right now.
Anything you could have done with the race car to make it better?
We worked all day long on air pressures and staggers, and we kept getting it better and better. In the last 50, 60 laps, it was strong. But like I say, David just had that big jump on the racetrack on me. It's just with both of us running the same speed, I couldn't get there.
Pit crew was unbelievable once again today.
Yeah, they were sharp. The first pit stop, come in fifth and go out second. Really strong. I mean, I just can't say enough. Penske made some good calls on the radio again today. Don Miller, Buddy Parrott, all of them. Everything went killer today, and we're looking forward to Atlanta.
Okay, without question, Rusty Wallace going to be a championship contender this season. Dick Berggren?
The work of a car owner who is also a driver is never done. Quick in the inspection area. Alan, you had a really good run today, but what else in order to finish higher?
You know, a little more handling, a little more power. I mean, we were really close. Yeah, it's just a good run for us. You can't be the fastest car every day. We just weren't quite good enough to win. Another good run. We're climbing back up there in the point standings, and you know, the team's doing a good job. I think we're going to be a contender here before too long.
Good run this afternoon for Alan Kowicki.
As we look at the racetrack, the afternoon's event concluded here at Richmond International Raceway, and an excellent victory today for Davey Allison. Let's take a look at the True Value Hard Charger standings after this afternoon's third event of the season. Kyle Petty, who led many laps earlier, does win the True Value Hard Charger Award today by 27 points over Davey Allison, who led many of the late laps. Rusty Wallace, who led in the middle of the race. Alan Kowicki, Darrell Waltrip, the top five today in the True Value Hard Charger Award standings. This is, of course, a season-long battle. The top five drivers each lap win points, and at the end of the day, we tote them all up, and again today, Kyle Petty picks up that $1,500 prize. We'll be back with more here from Richmond International Raceway, our special live coverage of the Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS Sports in a moment.
Only 4 cars retired from the race, but had they had to go another lap, there would have been 2 more you could have added to that list. The biggest incident of the day came when the race was officially over. So watch Davey Allison down here in Victory Lane. Take a look again at this final moment. This is after the checkers had flown by about 8 or 9 seconds.
We see the yellow car, Bobby Hamilton, as we said earlier. He's sideways, comes down across the track, gets into Kenny Wallace, turns Kenny Wallace right on the outside wall. As you said, it was the worst wreck of the day, actually, after they crossed the start-finish line.
So Davey Allison continues to celebrate, and there's a lot to celebrate for the Jarrett family again as well today. Standing by at the STP Pit Center, Rick Benjamin with a very happy Dale Jarrett.
Dale, a great run for you today. You came up to a top 5 again.
Yeah, we've been real consistent so far this year. We got the win at Daytona, 6th last week, and a 4th today. That's what it's going to take to try to stay in this. I told the guys and a lot of people they wanted to know about the championship, and I said the first 5 or 6 races, going to tell if we're that caliber of team yet, and they're stepping up to the challenge right now.
We understand you've taken the Winston Cup point lead by 1. It's way too early, I'm sure, to start thinking about a title, but that consistency is really what you're after this year?
It really is, you know. But if you get in that top 5 consistently, you'll hit the combination right one day, and we'll win another race or two. So that's what we're after, and keep getting as many points as we can. It's great to be in the lead right now, but all that is to see it in the paper and pump the guys up some. But it's a great accomplishment for a second-year team right now.
It's been a wild 3 weeks for you. What did the win at Daytona do for your life?
Changed it around totally. Made it a lot better, certainly. It's been pretty non-stop since then, but I've enjoyed it and will continue to enjoy it. It's something that we can kind of live with all year long, and hopefully get a couple more victories to go with it.
And now you'll have Joe Gibbs hanging around a lot more, evidently.
Yeah, he's nothing. I tell you, football's loss is our gain, certainly. The more we can have him around, the better people and better race team that we're going to be, because he's just such a great person, and getting everybody pumped up, keeping everybody on a positive mental attitude, and that's half of this game if you can do that.
Are you surprised how quickly your team's come around? New team last year, here you are barely a year into it.
I would say that I'm a little surprised, but I'm not either, because of the quality people that we have. Jimmy Maycar is the best in the business in my mind. I know that, and as far as chassis-wise and running this team and putting the people together, we have a lot of quality people there. So all they needed was a little bit of time to work on things, not just build cars, but improve on what we had, and hopefully this will continue.
What did you need a little more of today to have given Davey Allison a run for his money?
I would say that we were off just a little bit in the center of the corner. The car was a little bit tight right there, and it was a little loose off, so we couldn't really adjust, take the tightness out of the center without hurting us off. So we decided to kind of live with what we had, and we'll come back here the next time and try a little something different and try to improve on it a little.
All right, great run today for Dale Jarrett. Good luck next week at Atlanta.
Thank you.
Hey, Dale, what about taking that point lead? You're 1 point up on Earnhardt after 3 races.
Yeah, that's a good position to be in. You know, that's what we're after this year. We wanted to see what kind of team we are, and right now things are going well. The cars are driving great. Hendricks are giving us great engine, and you know, we've got a lot of good support behind us. The people at Interstate Batteries, at Chevrolet, Food Line, and Shell, we've got everything that it takes in our camp to do well and to have this. And I told the guys over the winter, I think I learned more last year in that year of racing than I'd learned all the years before, because we ran up front a lot more, and that's making me a lot more comfortable seeing what I have to do. There at the end today, you know, I could have really tried hard to chase Colwicky down, but I saw I wasn't gaining on him. 4th place was good enough for us.
Okay, well, you certainly learned to get those sponsors in. Thank you for being with us. Nice to have a good finish like that for you today in 4th place. And we'll be back with more from the Richmond International Raceway in a moment. Let's take a look at the complete results on today's program. This is how they came across unofficially. There were a total of 3 caution periods, 19 laps run under yellow, and hence we had a new track record. The old mark was 105 miles an hour for Earnhardt. The new record for Davey Allison is a 107.709, Neil. That's really clipping it off around a 3/4 mile track.
That one caution flag really picked the pace up, and they're going to see some big numbers when they don't have any more cautions than that.
Again, there were leader changes. There were 12 lead changes among 6 drivers in the course of the day. 4 drivers retired: Rick Mast, Dave Marcus, Jimmy Hensley, and Bill Elliott fell out of this event as it went along. Then we had this crash right at the end with young Wallace and Bobby Hamilton getting tangled right at the finish line. Pretty exciting day of racing, nevertheless.
Yeah, and we're answering a lot of questions. We were asking, where's Davey? You know, what's the deal with Jarrett? Has he got that consistency? Seems like that's all coming around now. We're seeing the guys going to be contenders for the championship.
Well, the point standings certainly indicate that. Of course, it's still the early part of the season, just 3 races down as we get ready to go to Atlanta next week. Those are the Winston standings as we have them at the present time, and I think it'll be another battle right down to the end of the year to get it all decided as to who is going to be the Winston Cup champion. It was a great battle last year all the way to Atlanta, and of course Alan Kowicki leading just what he needed to lead and pull that one out down there.
I think we're realizing now, instead of waiting the last race of the season to try to win the championship, you better start at the first, and these guys are working hard for it.
Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you coming up on May 30th from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. For Dr. Dick Berggren, who is standing by on pit road today, pleasure having you with us, sir.
Thank you. It's been a good time to be here.
And Randy Pemberton, you had yourself a busy day.
Oh, yeah, we got around a little bit, Ken. Thanks a lot. Enjoyed it today.
All right, Rick Benjamin at the STP Pit Center.
Thanks, Ken. Great to be with you as always.
Neil Bonnet, we'll see you in Charlotte. Coca-Cola 600.
Looking forward to it.
Of course, he's going to go sneaking off to Atlanta next week. I'm Ken Squire. Thanks so much for being with us at the Richmond International Raceway. The Pontiac Excitement 400 today, won by Davey Allison. Big time, better than a 4-second advantage over Rusty Wallace at the finish.